Don't take my word for it. Look that mess up, please.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? KCE, King
An
Chaka.
educated and united public cannot be controlled. Get organized.
Learn to be active.
Looks like we got us another hit.
Did you tell her to get away from me? She's crazy.
Choose your destiny.
An educated and united public cannot be controlled. Get organized.
Learn to be active. Investigate both sides of the argument. Come up with your own conclusions.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? KCE, King Chaka.
Hey, how y'all doing out there? How y'all feel? Remember, an educated public cannot be controlled. Learn to be active. The views and events expressed here are totally whacked and are not necessarily the views of anyone. ¿Cómo estás? Bien, 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 bien. ¿Podemos ayudarnos más? Sí se puede. And don't take my word for it. Look that mess up, please. For your own benefit, type something in your search bar every now and then. Don't just let them guide you. Don't just let your algorithm feed you. You know, they want to feed you stir-fried crap or baked crap, and you just eat it. Why not have a banana or apple or something? Just saying. Yeah. What? So it's so much. I don't know where to begin here today. So like, I was thinking about a lot of stuff. Thinking about how like, well, the name of the show today is "Resistance is Futile." The phrase, for me, the phrase comes from Star Trek. Yeah, Star Trek, the Borg. If anybody out there is familiar with the Borg and Star Trek, it's like, I don't know. You know, all of the aliens from Star Trek, they were all pretty humanoid. You know, it's like as if the humans had colonized the galaxy, and the differences between the aliens mostly had to do with their environment or whatever. The Borg, they looked like transhumans, like, you know, as if humans had merged with technology and they had become like, I don't know. It it also had to do with like communism. I think it was a jab at communism because it was like they were all one, right? They were all a part of the collective, and they could share thoughts, you know, and they all working towards one goal or whatever. And all of the people, quote unquote, like they had different um what's the word, parts that weren't human. They were like machine parts, you know. And I guess they lived forever. They flew around in like a cube. That was another thing that was weird to me because I guess aerodynamics doesn't mean anything to you once you reach a certain level of technology. Maybe that's what they were saying. Because the ship was a square, it was a cube, and that's what they flew around in. Anyways, the idea resistance is futile, that's what they would say over and over again. It's like, you will either you will assimilate or be destroyed. Those are your two options, and resistance is futile because we're like perfect, we know everything. We all work together for a goal. We're superior to you in every way. So resistance to us is futile. So I think about that in the context of our political atmosphere, if you will, or the dilemma of our species today, and how I've been watching a lot of videos about philosophy, and Brave New World comes to mind, and 1984 comes to mind. And I think about how it's like the fact that people don't resist, you know, is what allows the powers that be to do what they want to do. And the powers that be give you all these things that you want, you know, to keep you from resisting. They find ways to keep you from resisting, basically. They either give you what you want, or they like punish you and constrict you, put you in a prison. You're either in an open air prison or you're in a actual physical prison. Either way, your resistance is dampened dramatically. Like you don't have the agency to resist, or you choose to not have the agency to resist. Like you'd rather just give in and enjoy your pleasures, or you give in and because you feel like you can't escape your physical prison. But, you know, not going along with society, the trends, is a form of resistance. Being educated is a form of resistance. You know, being politically active is a form of resistance. Kind of depending. That one is kind of depending. There's an asterisk on that one. But um TikTok, the Instagram reels, YouTube reels, and this overload of stimulation that we have nowadays as a result of technology, and the dumbing down of the populace, the many distractions that we have. I think it leads us down this road of either not being able to resist or having no desire to, either way. And either way, this benefits the powers that be. It benefits the few. And I just want to say, for those of you out there like me who try to pay attention to what's going on, who try to buck certain traditions and ask those uncomfortable questions, who is willing to be an outcast, you know, your existence is the resistance, because you don't know how many other people you inspire by the little things that you do. You know, you're in traffic and you allow the car to get in front of you, you know, you see someone in need and you try to help them in any way that you can. Small things like giving them $1 or something like that, or maybe giving them some information, you know. Those little things that you do as you go through life, there's people watching. There's people that can see. And especially the children. The children. We don't give them enough credit. We think they don't know what's going on. We think they're ignorant and stuff, but they see a lot. They see a lot and they understand a lot. And they get to choose, you know, who are their mentors or those that they aspire to be like. And it most of the time it's going to be their parents, but not always. It could be a random person that they saw at the grocery store, you know, at the library, at the park, because of something that the person was doing that wasn't following the normal ways of doing things, you know. Something caught their eye about it and it led them down a road of thinking in a different way or whatever. And then they're like, you know, I want to be more like that person, you know. And maybe you never even met these people like really directly, and you're inspiring them to make a difference in the world, you know. And that's the thing I want to focus on. You know, they want us to feel like our resistance is futile. Like there's no point in resisting. Things are going to go the way that they go. People suck. The world sucks. Just get as much as you can out of it for you and your family, and hopefully get you some kind of pleasure along the way or whatever, some kind of satisfaction on your way out the door, instead of thinking of others and thinking of the future and thinking of the children, thinking of the species as a whole. Um, hold on, I meant to post this. Um, yeah, so we, I think for those of us who see the matrix, if you will, we're obligated to resist. Like we're ordained to resist. Like we have to, you know, it's certain things that you are compelled to do. And you must do those things, or otherwise you can't find any real satisfaction in life. You know, no matter what you do, no matter how much success you have, how much money you make, you know, wife, family, the job you want, or whatever it is, career or business owner, whatever it is, you accomplish all of these things and you still find no satisfaction because there's something that you are compelled to do that you are not doing. And I think in a lot of cases that has to do with the collective and not it, you know, necessarily have to do with the self. You know, our society focuses us to focus on the self, you know, our individual, you know, perspective, our individual agendas or whatever. And I think that the most satisfaction you really get is it comes from things that you do for others, whether we want to admit it or not. You know, uh, as an anthropologist, I look at cultures around the world and I look at past cultures and stuff. And one of the things I noticed is that in different languages, they use we a lot more than what we do now in contemporary times. Just that simple term as using I versus we is the thing that caught my eye when studying different cultures. They in the same phrase that we would use I, they would use we. And it may not seem like a big deal, but subconsciously, this has an effect on you to have a totally different outlook on the world. It's kind of like caring about nature. And if you're just worried about yourself, then as far as pollution, as far as like destroying the rainforest or whatever it is, uh how does the song go? You tear down paradise to build a parking lot, something like that. From your perspective, you're driving a car, you need somewhere to park your car, so you're good. So, but if you're thinking about it in a we term, then you're like, what about the future generations? What about the children? What about when things change? What about when we're no longer all driving cars and stuff? Anyways, that's just what I had on that. Maybe I'll come back to it. The weather event, the recent weather event we had here, I didn't realize that it expanded all the way to Florida. I saw a post that explained that. It was like the whole Gulf. Oh, here it is right here. Let me share this. Um, I've been in Houston my whole life, and I've never seen a weather event like this one. I've seen hurricanes and stuff, all kinds of stuff, but I've never seen an event like this one. And I think it shows, what the weather is changing, bro. Like climate change is a real thing, and I think this is Exhibit A right here. They said it's a rare event. Can y'all see this? Am I sharing? Yeah, so on this map right here, it shows this weather event expanding from central Texas all the way to Florida, through Louisiana, all the way. And that is like crazy. Like it looked like a tornado, but it's like tornadoes aren't this big. They said one confirmed tornado was in Cyprus, and that area still doesn't have electricity right now. Like they're all fucked up. Yeah, this is really crazy right here. Let's read this. It says, breaking, this severe thunderstorm has been classified by the Storm Prediction Center as a rare derecho windstorm with a NASA damaged connection from Space City, Texas, all the way to Cape Canaveral, Florida. The damaged path of the wind reports on this map, which starts in Austin, Texas, stretches to over 1,000 miles. The derecho is a storm that produces wind damage for at least 400 miles and includes several well-separated gusts of at least 75 miles per hour. Wind speeds in Cypress, Houston, and Baytown reach speeds up to 100 miles per hour at times. Additionally, an EF1 tornado with 110 mile per hour winds embedded within the derecho has been confirmed in Cypress, Texas. 100 mile an hour winds. That is crazy, right? Like over such a large area. Like I say, I don't know that I can remember anything like this ever happening before, as long as I know. So they said rare event. It must have been before I was born the last time it happened, because I don't remember anything like this happening. And I've seen a lot of, stuff, a lot of weather events. But this is different. Like this is different. Really high winds over a large area like that. It's like a big, huge tornado. That's crazy. And I think that we're gonna get used to events like this. I think that we're gonna continue to have events like this, and they'll become more frequent. More of these like rare events will no longer be rare. It'll be warm and humid till right before this happened. I just can feel the weather is different, bro. Like it just feels different. I know we have hot summers all the time here. It's just that the air seemed different, with the way the rain comes in, and then it dramatically changes. It'll be really humid, and then it won't be humid anymore. Like, I don't know. What do I know? I'm not a meteorologist. Let's read some comments. It says, "Wow, that's so crazy. Someone I know that lives up north had one of these a few years ago, and it became one of my new fears. Now here we are, Pearland. Really didn't get hit bad with this one. I had to go up to the north side today, and it was wild that with all the damage. Yeah, we still have a lot of street lights and traffic lights out, trees down, debris everywhere. I haven't had a chance to. There's a lot of people still without electricity, without power. So somebody said this was a hurricane. LOL. OMG. It wasn't. It wasn't a hurricane. It wasn't a hurricane. Like hurricanes, they come in slow. They take time to pass. Like this kind of came and went really quickly. Like I was at work and I was working on the patio. So, and then like all of a sudden it got dark, just got dark all of a sudden. And then just the wind started blowing like crazy, like boom. Maybe lasted, I don't know, 20, 30 minutes or more, maybe a little longer. And then it was over. I was like, man, did a tornado just go over the restaurant? Like, I never saw a tornado in person before, so I wouldn't know, but it felt like it might as well have been a tornado. Some people died. I know that it was a lady who was moving her car or something, and a tree fell on her car. There's a lot of damage downtown in the downtown buildings. The windows are blown out and stuff. Crazy, crazy, crazy weather event right here. Comment, it says, I live in Cyprus. I'm interested to see the path. Do you know when they will have that figured out? That's what I'd like to know too. Like, that's what I was thinking. That's why I like this map right here. But it's like a big tornado that just goes across the whole freaking southern part of the United States. Like, what the hell? Another comment says the weather wars have started. Dubai was hit, and now we were hit. Heart will fire back. I love conspiracy theories. Okay, well, it could just be climate change. Like, it don't have to be that complicated. It don't have to be that complicated. More intense weather systems happening as a result of warming temperatures. That's not that complicated. Let me see. Where do we want to go from here? I'm not playing that Diddy video. That's like one of them videos where when people say, what happened before the video? Like, what did she do? Like, that's my question. I mean, hey, I don't condone any violence towards anyone, including women, unprovoked. But at the same time, I mean, like, what the hell was she up to for him to react that way? I'm not gonna play that video. I don't like that kind of mess, But the political mess I do kind of like because it's entertaining to me. So let's do that one. Let's do the Marjorie Taylor Greene AOC. What's her name? Jackson interaction that happened yesterday. It's going viral today. It's funny to me. Hold on, do I have a clip in here? Pretty hilarious. Let me see. Do I have it in here? Give me a second, y'all. don't see it in here. Did I pass it up? The GameStop thing is interesting too. I'm definitely going to talk about that. I don't see it. Basically, MTG made some comments and then they made comments back. I don't want to say them because I'd rather play the videos, but majority report, the way that they covered it. Hold on. I kind of just want the clips, the raw clips. Dang it. I know I had them. Where did I share them on? Twitter. I'm sorry, y'all. I apologize. It's not Twitter. Could have swore I shared this. Because that was the first place I saw it was the clips. Oh, here it is, the shade room. Let's do this. Am I sharing?
If someone on this committee then starts talking about somebody's bleach blonde, bad built.
Wait, wrong order. Hold on. Let's go. Let me see.
Every single time they attack President Trump, they think the way to win an argument is to attack President Trump. You talk about character attacks, it goes on and on. Also, members of this committee attack me repeatedly, over and over and over again, constantly. But they're offended when I say something back. And I think this needs to be called out, Mr. Chairman, because the hypocrisy is screaming and the American people watch it every single day. And I will not apologize for my words, and I will not change them. And I will not tolerate being treated this way constantly on this committee and in other committees. And I think that we need, if we're going to hold hearings like this and hold Merrick Garland in contempt of Congress, I think we should move forward and go ahead and do that.
It's not in the proper order because MTG made the first. She started it. Hold on, let me see.
Who's
It's me.
Ms. Crockett?
I'm just curious, just to better understand your ruling. If someone on this committee then starts talking about somebody's bleach blonde, bad built butch body, that would not be engaging in personalities, correct?
A what now?
What?
Chairman,
Now?
I make a motion to strike those words.
I don't think that's
Hold on.
I'm trying to find clarification on what qualifies.
Chairman, motion to strike those
I had no idea
words.
what you just said.
We're not gonna do this.
I have
Look,
no
you guys
idea.
earlier literally just
Oh,
said
you
yes.
voted to do
Y'all did it first, so you don't want to talk about
voted to do it.
Order.
I'm trying to get clarification.
Look at calm down. Calm
No,
down.
because this
I
is
would
what
like
y'all
to get
do.
through proceeding.
So I'm trying to
Hey,
get
Ms.
clarification.
Crockett, you're not
Y'all wanna
recognized.
play
Ms.
games.
I can't hear
Crockett.
you with your
And you
yelling.
don't want me
Calm
to
down.
Be,
Can
no,
you please calm
don't
down.
tell me to calm down.
Calm down.
Because y'all
Please
talk
calm
noise
down.
and then
You're
can't
out of
take
control.
Because if I
Look,
come,
Chairman,
if I
can
come
we
and
send
talk
out take a
about
break
her,
for 5
y'all
minutes?
gonna have a problem.
Mr.
Order.
Chairman.
Chair.
Mr. Chair.
The chair did not have control.
Judge Merchan's daughter.
Okay, yeah, this is how it started.
It has to do with Merrick Garland.
Is she a porn star?
Oh, Goldman. That's right. He's advising. Okay.
He's advising who? What? Do you know what we're here for? You know we're here about AG.
I don't think you know what you're here for.
Well, you the one talking about. I guess
I think your fake eyelashes are messing up.
No,
with your
ain't
reading.
nothing.
Hold on.
Listen.
Order.
Mr. Chairman, would you please regain the order of your committee?
Order.
Please.
There's a point of order.
We have a point of order. Mr. Lynch, state your point.
Mr. Chairman, I would just like to ask the parliamentarian if your conduct here in raising money in connection with this hearing is referable to the ethics
Mr.
Chair
Chairman.
recognizes.
She's like,
committee.
your eyebrows are getting in the way.
Is a motion in order to refer your conduct and your abuse of.
It's not a point of order.
Mr. I do have a point of order, and I would like to move to take down Ms. Green's words. That is absolutely unacceptable. How dare you
Meeting will
attack the
suspend,
physical
meeting will
appearance of another
suspend.
person?
Are your
Move
feelings
her
hurt?
words down.
Oh,
Girl, baby girl.
oh, really?
Don't even play. with
Baby
me.
girl?
We're gonna,
I don't think
we are
so.
going to move and we're going to take your words down.
I
Thank you very
second that motion.
So who will have to pay? Okay. All right. We're suspending.
Absolutely.
Within
And this is the House Oversight Committee. They're like one of the most powerful committees that they have.
Every single time they
Jasmine Crockett, she says, so MTG wanted to talk about my appearance in committee. It's against the rules to do. She refused to apologize. The chairman ruled that it was okay. And I asked for clarification about what qualifies as engaging in personalities and basically wanted to know if I could talk shit about her appearance as well. Y'all know what she looks like, right? People in glass houses. This is what happens when mentally deficient people who can't read and follow rules or just don't give a damn somehow end up in Congress. The Shade Room posted this. It says, oop, looks like things got a little heated during the House Oversight and Judicial Committee hearing to hold Attorney General Merrick Garland in contempt during the hearing, which was held on Thursday. Marjorie Taylor Greene insulted Jasmine Crockett by commenting on her fake eyelashes. ALC came to Jasmine's defense, but Jasmine clapped back with a few words of her own. Roomies, take a look at their exchange and let us know what you think in the comments below. First comment, it says, I still cannot believe Greene made it to Congress. She's so nasty and rude. Anybody can make it to Congress if you get enough votes. The bar is set pretty low. It says, dude on the left want to laugh so bad. Another comment says, first clip, I thought she was referring to the man that was confused. Yeah, that's part that made the whole exchange really funny was how the guy, he was like, huh? I have no idea what you just said. Like, his brain didn't compute. You know, whenever you make an insult and it has like, it starts with the same letter and it has descriptive words back to back. Yeah, that's when you're getting roasted. Another comment says, Marjorie Greene has the IQ over doorknob and has the audacity to personally attack someone. Another one says, the man on the left laughing knew exactly what she said. Yeah, you saw his head. He was like, oh, ooh. Let me play the Majority Report. And they covered this.
There was a House Oversight Committee markup hearing last night. I think part of it was about trying to maybe impeach Garland, or it's unclear to me what they were actually meaning to do.
Broadly, it was like filing a contempt charge against him for not releasing the audio of the special counsel.
Oh, that's right. Her interview.
Yes.
Right. I guess they did this late at night last night because they desperately wanted it before Friday. And James Comer, I'm sorry. Like, if I was a Republican or a conservative, I'd be pretty mad at this guy because he is a total clown show. He can't seem to do anything right. He tried to impeach Biden. All he did is he got one criminal arrest and indictment, and that was from his star witness got indicted. And now he's got this crap fest here. All right, this comes in three parts. The first part is Marjorie Taylor Greene. Of course, I lost that document you gave me. The first part comes from Marjorie Taylor Greene. Oh, there it is. And AOC going at it. This is Marjorie Taylor Greene is mad at Congresswoman Crockett, and you'll see how she responds to it. I mean, you remember when Marjorie Taylor Greene was drunk before she got into Congress, and she was with a couple of her friends and going in and like trying to
Yell through the
mail flap at AOC's door.
Smell the booze through the mail flap.
You could smell the booze from the video, actually. It's the only scratch and sniff video we've had in a long time. Good.
Chair
Mr. Chairman,
recognizes Ms. Green.
I'd like to know if any of the Democrats on this committee are employing Judge Merchan's daughter.
Oh, pause it. We should say that is a reference to the judge who is hearing Donald Trump's criminal trial. Remember, Marjorie Taylor Greene was very, very mad that she wasn't invited to be a surrogate out in front of the trial, and Mike Johnson was. And this is her way of basically auditioning for Donald Trump to get invited so that she can get in on the mix. I mean, this is like the level of thirst that comes from, there must be something. I mean, look, there are definitely people, Democrats and people on the left who have this, but it is so fundamental to being a Republican or a conservative, regardless of whether it's in the media or in Congress. She's literally doing this to convince Donald Trump to invite her down there. All right, so go ahead.
Judge Merchan's daughter.
Nobody
Please
knows.
tell me what that has to do with Merrick Garland.
Is she a porn star?
Oh, Goldman. That's right. He's advising. Okay.
He's advising who? What?
Nobody knows what she's talking about.
Do you know what we're here for? You know we're here about
just a-
AG.
I don't think you know what you're here for.
Well, you the one talking about.
I think your fake eyelashes are messing up.
No,
with your
ain't
reading.
nothing.
Hold on.
Listen,
She was trying to make like a clever like stab, and then she didn't even get the name right. Like, get the name right if you're trying to make like a clever stab. And then, old girl was like, how is this concerning or whatever? So then she kind of stabbed at her, like, do you even know why we're here? Like, what is going on? Like, do you know what we're doing? So MGT felt offended. So then she felt like she needed to personally attack her.
you know we're here about
just
AG.
I don't think you know what you're here
President.
for.
Well, you the one talking about.
I think your fake eyelashes are messing up.
No,
with your
ain't
reading.
nothing.
Hold on.
Listen.
Order.
Mr.
Chairman,
That's beneath even
order
you.
engaging order of your committee.
Order.
Please.
There's a point of order.
We have a point of order. Mr. Lynch, state your point.
Mr. Chairman, I would just like to ask the parliamentarian if your conduct here in raising money in connection with this hearing is referable to the Ethics Committee within this hearing. Is a motion in order to refer your conduct and your abuse of
It's not a point of order. not a
Mr.
point-
I do have a point of order. and
Pause
I
it
would
for
like
one
to
second. Just to
actually-
be clear,
They were trying to keep it going, and they couldn't. They was like trying to recover and just like go into what they were doing, and it's like, no, we're not going to just roll over this.
Lynch is talking about a fundraiser that Comer sent out. Send me money so that we can get Merrick Garland to a contempt thing, which is really not supposed to be the way that it works. So Lynch is saying, can we see if that's a violation of the Ethics Committee? And then here is AOC wanting to strike the words of Marjorie Taylor Greene, which obviously had nothing to do with the hearing at all, and it was just her way to
More censorship from AOC.
exactly.
and your abuse of.
It's not a point of order. not a
Mr.
point-
I do have a point of order, and I would like to move to take down Ms. Green's words. That is absolutely unacceptable. How dare you
meeting will
attack the
suspend,
physical
meeting will
appearance of another
suspend.
person?
Are your
Move
feelings hurt?
her words down.
Aw.
Oh, girl, baby, girl.
Oh, really?
Don't even play,
Baby girl?
We are gonna move, and we're gonna take your words down. Thank you very much.
that motion.
So who will have to pay us?
And kudos to AOC for not having for not saying get the F out of here. I mean, that like, I don't know what you do in that situation. I don't know how I would contain myself, to be honest with you, but go ahead. This is a little
The
bit.
committee will reconvene. Miss Green has 4 minutes and 21 seconds. There's a motion. Miss Green, do you wish to strike your words?
I have 4 minutes and 21 seconds to speak.
I think we have to do the motion first, and then unless there's another motion, then you'll be recognized again. But I believe there's another motion coming. So you agree to strike your words?
Yeah. I'll
Okay.
agree.
Miss Green agrees to strike her words.
I believe she
Chair
apologized.
recognizes
No.
Mr. Perry.
She
Okay,
apologized.
hold on. Then after Mr. Perry's going to be recognized, then Miss Green
I'm not
has 4 minutes and
apologizing.
21
Well, then
seconds.
you're not
reserve the right to
striking your
object.
words.
I am
You're
not
attacking.
apologizing.
Now let's go. Come on,
This
guys.
dude does not have
Come on,
control.
Why don't you debate me?
Mr. Chairman, the minority.
pretty self-evident.
Chair you're not.
Why don't you debate me? Like, what the hell? Are we running for some kind of position right now? Are we campaigning? Like, what is going on? Like, we're in committee right now. We're not on the campaign trail. Like,
Yeah, you're not. You don't have enough
You're out of order.
intelligence.
Chair recognizes Mr. Perry.
Okay, move to strike
I'd like to
I
strike
move to
those
strike the
words
ladies.
as well. I would like order.
Yeah, you're not. You don't. Why don't you debate me?
Mr. Chairman, the minority.
Pretty self-evident.
You're not.
Yeah, you're not. You don't have enough
You're out of order.
intelligence.
Chair recognizes Mr. Perry.
Okay, move to strike
I'd like to
I
strike
move to
those
strike the
words
ladies.
as well. I would like order.
The ladies'
as well.
words again.
That's 2 requests to strike. That's 2 requests to strike.
Oh, they cannot take the
There's
words.
another motion to strike her words again.
All right.
Please get
Okay.
your members under
Here's the
control.
correct apology. Miss Green, do you agree to unanimous consent to strike your words?
I repeat again for the second time. Yes, I'll strike
right.
my words,
That-
but I'm not
all right.
apologizing.
Without objection. Without
Not
objection.
apologizing.
Chair
Reserving the right
recognizes-
to
God. And this is all part of her show. Honestly, this is literally, we just have to sit here now, have our government taken over by an audition to be one of Donald Trump's cronies out in front of the courtroom. All right. And here is where Crockett comes back.
So then they vote and it fails. So that's what Crockett's asking about in that context.
Oh, yes. Crockett now has a question about the vote.
It's thicker than the other one.
No order.
Who's
It's me.
Miss Crockett?
I'm just curious, just to better understand your ruling. If someone on this committee then starts talking about somebody's bleach blonde, bad built butch body, that would not be engaging in personalities, correct?
What now?
Look at Raskin's face.
I make a motion.
What now?
Do Raskin's face.
That
Look
would
at
not
Raskin.
be engaging in personalities, correct?
Go back.
If someone on this committee then starts talking about somebody's bleach blonde, bad built butch body, that would not be engaging in personalities, correct?
What now?
Chairman, I make a motion to strike those words.
I don't think that's
Hold on.
part
I'm
of the.
trying to find clarification on what quality.
Chairman, motion to strike
no
those
idea
words.
what you just said.
We're not gonna do this. Look, you guys earlier literally just said
You just voted to do
Y'all did
it.
it first, so you
You
don't
just
have to
voted to do it.
Order.
I'm trying to get
Okay.
clarification.
Look at calm down.
No, because this
I
is
will
what
let
y'all
you get
do.
through proceedings.
So I'm trying
Hey,
to get
Miss
clarification.
Crockett, you're not
Y'all wanna
recognized.
play
Miss
games?
I can't hear
Crockett.
you with your
And
yelling.
You don't want
Calm
me to
down.
Be,
Can you please calm
don't
down?
tell me to calm down.
Calm down.
Because y'all talk
Calm
noise,
down.
and then you
You're
can't
out of
take
control.
Because if I
Look,
come,
Chairman,
if I
can
come
we
and
send
talk
outside to
shit
take a
about
break
her,
for 5
y'all
minutes?
gonna have a problem.
Mr.
Order.
Chairman.
All right, Chair.
I know why
Okay.
you're
Order.
acting
Chair
like
now
that.
recognizes.
Okay, that was Luna, right? And she apparently had voted against striking the words from the record, and then she's coming around going like, well, "You can't say that." And then so
Hits her the bar.
there it is.
Crazy.
I got to run for Congress. That looks like too much fun.
I was just remembering, like,
Yeah. Yeah. So that's crazy. Like, so, girl's like, oh, you can't do that. Like, well, you just voted against freaking allowing it to happen. Now you're freaking saying we can't do personal attacks. Like, well, girl was trying to get her lick in, you know, she had to get one in, you know, and she felt violated, and then they backed up MTG, so she felt like, bruh, I'm about to crash out up in here. I don't know. It's funny to me, but it's really sad, that this is the state of affairs, in our political discourse, the freaking oversight committee, one of the most powerful committees that they have is in here doing personal jabs at each other. Like, what about the American people? What about the stuff that we need? Like, this is the reason why we can't get anything. Like, why we can't get anything done that's constructive. We've devolved into this political atmosphere where it's all about like personal jabs and social issues like culture wars. It is what it is, man. Y'all voted for these people. So it's partially y'all fault. Anyways, what do y'all think about that? Craziness. I just laugh at it and I just, get the popcorn. The House passes GOP bill to force President Biden to continue weapons transfer to Israel. Just in, House passes Republican-led bill to condemn President Biden's approach to Israel and force him to send arms shipments to the U.S. ally. The bill is largely symbolic, as Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer has already said he won't bring it to the floor for a vote. The White House has also said that Biden would veto it should it make its way to his desk. Doesn't matter anyways. He's sending them. What was it? $1 billion thing they just did? He withheld some bombs or whatever. He's like, we're not going to give them offensive weapons. Da, 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 da. We're just going to give them weapons that they can defend themselves with. Da, 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 da. And then he turns around and gives them like $1 billion. So it doesn't even matter. Like they said, it's symbolic. Look at this one. It says oil and gas price gouging bill. 217 yay for Democrats, 203 nay Republican. Oil and gas price gouging bill. What would they have? What would the the Republicans, what problem would they have with a price gouging bill? Like, they're okay with the oil companies price gouging the shit out of us. The caption, it says oil corporations are experiencing record profits. They're raking in billions in profits each quarter, and Donald Trump is now being investigated for offering to ease restrictions on them in exchange for a $1 billion infusion into his campaign. While the Dow is experiencing an historic surge, Americans could have been doing much better if Republicans had blocked legislative efforts by Democrats to stop oil corporations from price gouging. It says Republicans are responsible for keeping prices higher to benefit the wealthy donors. What people really have to understand is that, you got owner class, you got worker class, and they're opposed to each other. And instead of looking at the D versus the R, realize which team you're on, and the overwhelming majority of us are the ones that would be taken advantage of as a result of the price gouging. It's only a few of us that will benefit from it. Like, you can be like, oh, I'm going to invest in the stock market and I can get on that team. Bro, you snap out of that dream, yo. That's the game that they're playing on you, and you're losing. Realize which side you're on. Stop fighting for your enemy. And people are not looking out for you. Nope. You're the little guy? No. They're trying to find as many ways as they can to smash you out. So fight with your comrades. Fight with the people that are in the same have the same issues that you have. And this goes across political ideology or ethnicity or race. They use all of that stuff to divide us up, keep fighting against each other. Meanwhile, they're winning. They're winning big time. Comment, it says, if you're one of those people who just love to cry, moan, and bellyache about how horrible everything is under the left, but conveniently and completely ignore how the right are the ones screwing up everything, you need to sit down, shut your mouth, and sit it out. See, I don't completely agree with this because it's two wings, same bird. It's good cop, bad cop. If you go issue by issue, then you can say one side or the other. But overall, things trend in a certain direction. And that's a result of both of them, both parties. They're looking out for their people, the elites, not you. Unless you are elite, but I doubt it if you're watching this show. I need somebody to get in here. Let's look at this. City center of Siena, Italy, population 30,000, is roughly the size of a highway interchange in Houston, Texas, USA, population 0. How much space we have to give for the cars? Does this not seem unsustainable? More and more people, as the population grows, more and more cars on the road, more and more freeways, taking up more and more space. This is unsustainable, and it doesn't really make sense. Comment, it says the European mind cannot comprehend the desire to live outside of the urban hellscape instead of in it. It's like you guys want to be in traffic every day. You complain about traffic, but then when I say something about trains, then you're like, oh, you're taking my freedom away. Okay, your freedom to be in traffic. Have fun with that. The way things are set up with the commute, it's really silly. Another comment says, I'm sure there are a few homeless under the bridges you can account for. I think this interchange right here is right there at Beltway 8 and I-10. I think that's what this is. And there actually aren't very many, or if any, very few. They got ways, they got spikes underneath the bridge. They have the police, the county police and the bridge authority folks. They are on that. So there's not very many homeless encampments or whatever underneath here. Not here. Other places, but not here. Another comment, it says Americans thinking it's a flex to have to bulk up on 2 weeks worth of processed groceries in one trip and leave work 2 hours early to avoid traffic. It's like all you have to do is just get off of work early, or just get a job that you get off at like 2-3 o'clock or something. Go into work early. All you got to do is go and buy groceries for the whole month. They're always making reasons, like excuses or whatever. Like, you could just do this, or you could just do that, or you could just do this, or you could just do that. All to avoid the reality that the situation doesn't have to be this way. And that you are supporting the situation being this way with those ways of thinking. Instead of saying, hey, can we just do these things differently? Why does it have to be set up this way? Oh, you're taking my freedom away. Another comment that says America is basically just a bunch of highways and Walmarts and gas stations. Another comment says only Europeans would think highways are pointless. Another one, Houston is 3-hour drive from Houston. I don't know about 3 hours, but yeah, that comment is valid. We live in our cars. We're always on our way somewhere. It says Europeans like to act like I can't drive from Amsterdam to Naples in less than it would take me to drive across Texas, LMAO. Texas is really big, so that is a thing. But you don't have to have these highways and cars. You could have trains, and that would cut down on the time of the commute. We can build the cities in a way that you don't need to be living in suburban areas. Yeah, but you're gonna say you're taking my freedom away. You put me in a prison. I want to drive 2.5 hours to go to the Woodlands. The Woodlands is really nice. It's really nice, but you gotta drive 2 hours to get there, and then 2 hours to go anywhere. And that freeway 45 is so freaking dangerous. It's scary.
Japan is not living in 2050. You just live in the United States of America. She's right. China is not in the year of 2050, and neither is Japan. You just live in America. You see, we used to say the same thing. It became this repetitive thing when we went to other countries. Oh wow, they don't have this in America. America doesn't have this. Or, man, where has this been my whole life? High-speed rail, affordable healthcare, nice infrastructure. The reality is, this is how life should be. This is how our tax dollars should be spent. As tax-paying citizens, we deserve the best public services, at least. I wonder where all the money is going. But anyway, it's 2025. Upgrades to daily public services should be a right, not a luxury. It is almost as if they care more about upgrading our phones versus upgrading daily essentials. It was just the other day when we realized that none of these third world countries outside the US are in the future. Their government just knows how to put tax dollars to use in a different way. Could you imagine how the USA would look if they positively innovated technology? It is definitely not normal to see people struggling or homeless. A lot of the things that people think are normal in the US definitely are not. Once you step out of the comfort zone and travel, you really begin to understand what is supposed to be normal and how public systems are supposed to be. Japan is...
People are like, where's all the money going? That's the question right there. You know, that's the question right there. Where is all the money going? And you know, oh, but we live in the greatest country in the history of the world. Okay. Those countries don't have no freedom. Those people are all prisoners. Okay. You know, these people, they want to make arguments for the reasons why things are the way that they are, or you are the problem. You are the reason why things are the way that they are. And not going to improve like no time soon because of that attitude that you have. You know, you don't want to face reality. It's like, but the United States is not Japan. No, it's not. The United States is not China or whatever. No, it's not. It's absolutely not. So what the hell does that mean? We can't have the things that they have. What? Why? You know, I don't want to be a communist. You're talking about communism. I want my individual freedoms. Okay, so that's the reason why we don't have any kind of social safety nets. You know, that's the reason why the money is getting freaking lost, like the the military industrial complex freaking just losing money, just like $1 trillion just vanished. Like I don't know where it went. Public money. The really wealthy pay like 0 taxes, and your ass is paying like 40%. And you're okay with that. You're good with that because you're like, one day I can be that guy, that billionaire, and then I won't be paying no taxes. I'm going to use those loopholes or whatever. I just don't know. I don't know what to say, about that. As far as, can we wake up one day and realize that we're getting screwed? And that's the reason why you have all these homeless folks. It's like, oh, these people are choosing to be homeless. All of these homeless folks are choosing to be, they'd rather be homeless. They want to live on the street in the weather, worrying about how they're going to eat, chased by cops all the time. These people want that. All of those homeless folks want that. All these people that's living in their car, they living in their car because they want to live in their car. All these people who living with other people, like 10 people in a apartment, they're all doing that because that's what they want to do. Systems manage people. People manage systems. Okay, you create a system to get a desired outcome. Okay, this situation has all been structurally created. It's not, it doesn't just happen. It's made to be this way. As long as you have people who are struggling, you can control them better. You can pay them low wages. You can price gouge the shit out of them. They don't have no recourse. That's why we have food deserts. That's why certain areas, they don't have grocery stores. The public transit is trash. The public education system is trash. That's how you control people. That's you won't never have to worry about competition. Your kids are going to be the leaders of the world. And you don't have to worry about those other folks even being in the picture. Travel Gods, it says, what's your thoughts on this? A young traveler shared her perspective, noting that Japan isn't ahead of its time. It's just that living in the United States can sometimes make it seem that way. She highlighted the differences in how governments treat their citizens, pointing out that Japan places a strong emphasis on community well-being, efficient public services, and a high quality of life. In contrast, she feels that the U.S. government doesn't prioritize its citizens' needs as effectively. Her advice for those seeking a better living experience is to consider moving abroad, as exploring other countries can reveal different ways of life and potentially offer higher standard of living. A lot of people feel like, it's their home to go, and I could totally sympathize with that. So, but this point right here says Japan places strong emphasis on community well-being, efficient public services, and high quality of life. So this is what they emphasize. This is what's important to them. So we look at the United States and like, what is important to the United States? Military might. What else do they throw most of the money on? Shit. The next thing on the list is probably so far away from that one. It's like, it doesn't even matter. What else do they spend money on? Subsidizing corporations. What they say, follow the money. You look at what they're spending money on, then it tells you where their priorities are. Another comment says, until America gets out of the corporate capitalism, where they care more about private sector profits than its people and infrastructure, nothing will change. Yep. Profit over people. Exponential growth. Another comment, it says, this is all cap, bruh. The US has higher quality of life rates than most of these countries. Just because a robot has an iPad on its chest doesn't mean it's 2050. I don't know, bro. What do you have to support your argument? You know, in the picture they showed freaking bus stops that have freaking chargers for your phone. Bro, I haven't seen anything close to that over here. Like, and that's just one of the clips they played. It was solar powered, so you don't have to be like, oh well, who's paying for it? They just don't care to take care of. They won't even give. They took away a lot of the bus stops. They took a lot of the covers for the bus stops with the benches and stuff. They took them away and put like a stone bench there, no cover. If it's raining or sunny or windy or cold, you out in the weather while you're waiting for the bus. Like they had more of those and then they took them away. So it wasn't like a money thing because it cost money to take them away. They already had them. Like what? Why? I saw this happen. I witnessed it. It's a FU. Oh, you have to catch the bus? FU. Go get a car. I can't afford a car. Well, you're screwed. Get a better job. I can't get a better job. I need education. Well, you're screwed. Go to school then. I can't afford to go to school. Well, you're screwed. Get some student loans. Oh, you want forgiveness for those student loans? No, you're screwed. Why is education getting more and more expensive? That's one of the things I was thinking about. It's like, what I see online a lot is people are saying, the degrees are worthless. Going to school is not worth it. Da 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 da. But at the same time, the price of school keeps going up. That doesn't make sense when you think about the idea of supply versus demand, right? More people, less people going to school would mean that the price should go down, right? Theoretically, right? But the prices are going up, and people are saying the value of the degrees are nothing, but the price is going up. So if those degrees don't have any value, then why are the price going up? Why is the price going up? Explain that to me. Why, at my job, all these rich folks that I wait on, all of them have degrees. And they're always talking about their kids and what degree their kid is getting or has gotten. So there's somebody is lying, bro. Somebody is not telling the truth when they're saying that, these degrees don't have any value, and it's not worth it. Da, 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 da. Well, then why are these rich folks, they all getting degrees and they're telling their kids to get degrees? And why is the price of the education continually going up? It's, to me, what I'm getting from that is they want a certain sector of the society to feel like getting a higher education is out of reach or pointless or worthless or whatever to get a result of separation, of destruction of the middle class, of leaving it just really wealthy people and really poor folks. And that's it. No in between. The poor folks have no skills, no education, and no hope for it. They get to live their whole life as laborers to the wealthy class. And there's no competition, no diversity. Comment, it says, until you see those taxes and the homes, apartments they own, rent for 80 years. Another comment says, they don't even like people of color in Japan. Please, black people don't get tricked. Let me see. More comments. It says, this footage is not in Japan, it's China. Don't confuse with China show. Another one that says, Joe Biden's America. Bro, Joe Biden don't have that much power, bro. He ain't even been in there long enough to make all of this. Not to defend Joe Biden. I'm not a fan. I'm just like, y'all give these people way too much credit. Another one that says, as a Caribbean person who lives in Japan and has been for years, I wish people would stop glorifying the small things they see on TV, experienced on vacation. Everywhere has their pros and cons. Japan is great when it comes to certain things, but it's a rough place to work. The suicide rates are high as fuck, and the aging population is very evident. Yeah. So, there's definitely pros and cons to everything. There's no such thing as a utopia. We can just learn the good things from other countries. Why can't we spread the things that work around the world? Why can't we learn from other cultures and countries of what they do well and model that? We don't have to take on the whole Japanese culture, the whole Chinese culture. Just spend money on infrastructure. You know what I'm saying? Spend money on the people. Prioritize the people. Another comment, it says, look at all the black people defending the America that hates us and shows it every day. And before y'all start, I'm born and raised and living American. Y'all really be crying when people expose America for the wasteful way they spend our taxes, cancer causing foods, etc. It's almost like Stockholm syndrome. Another comment. The upgraded tech comes with more surveillance and censorship. The higher surveillance and censorship comes with better ways of hiding the poverty homeless that isn't normal outside the US. Once you start traveling, you get some kind of preconceived notion that these other countries are doing it right. Once you immerse yourself in the systems, you realize that every country got their own effed up problems, and you have to choose which problems you want. Yeah, well, obviously, having homeless is a choice that the United States have made. Having so much poverty is a choice that they've made. Having terrible public systems and infrastructure is a choice that they've made. Another comment says, it's not the government, it's the people here. In France, they talked about raising the retirement age, and the citizens basically said, do that and we will burn this country to the ground. We don't care how you fix the problem, but you're not doing that. When you hold your reps accountable and don't just swallow whatever propaganda they feed you, they start to act in your interest. I think that there's some truth to that right there. They keep us fighting with each other about stupid stuff, and that's the reason why they could just pull it off. We don't have any solidarity with each other. Like, we wouldn't be able to do a nationwide protest against a damn thing. There's going to be somebody on the other side saying, get a job, no matter what the freaking subject is. It could be something that actually literally benefits literally every person in the United States, and you're still going to have people on the other side. They're not going to come together. We don't have any solidarity here, but that's by design. We're at an hour. Let's show this right here. It says racism so crazy because imagine being an African and being mad you see black people. It says a man rides a bus in Durban meant for white passengers only. Resistance to South Africa apartheid policies, 1986. It says there's no reason for this photo from 38 years ago to be in black and white. This wasn't that long ago. Yeah, so see, that's what's interesting to me. Like, they do this all the time. Whenever it comes to this type of topic right here, they make it seem like it's so long ago. Oh, it's so long ago. You should just get over it. It's like, wait a minute, 1986. So, but it's a subconscious thing because you don't think about it when you look at the picture and it shows black and white. You don't think about it, but you're like, oh, that must have been a while ago because it's black and white. But you don't really consciously think about it, but it's a subconscious thing that you take in. Oh, that was a long time ago. Obviously, look at the picture. But that's what they do with stuff like this. It's a journalistic practice. Like Harriet Tubman. I was covering something in my class with Harriet Tubman, and I looked up Harriet Tubman, and it's like a lot of the pictures were in black and white. But they had color photos back then. Let's look this up right quick. Harriet Tubman, and then I'm gonna do color when color photos began. Invented. Okay, Harriet Tubman. Let me share what all I did was type in Harriet Tubman. And I'm gonna show you the search results. Yahoo search results. And as you can see, this picture is black and white. It's like a pbs.org video right here, also black and white. Biography right here, black and white. Let's see images. Well, these are a bunch of books. Okay. Well, we got a color photo right here. A couple more here. I think this one is shown in black and white, but I know this picture, and this picture was shot in color. It looks, maybe it is color. Can't tell. So they have some there. Then they got a number that's in black and white. But back to the overall search here, the picture black and white. Majority of pictures, all of them are black and white. Go down here, images. We got a couple colors here. Now let's go to color photos. Color photo made by three-color method suggested by James Clerk Maxwell in 1855. So we can say that, when it first came out, of course, it wasn't available to everyone and all over the place. Maybe it was still people taking pictures in black. I'm sure there were plenty of people still taking photos in black and white. But as a little bit of time goes from that 1855, I would assume that, majority of the pictures will start being in color. Now let's go back to the Harriet Tubman search. Born 1820 to 1913. Okay, so those pictures of her in black and white wasn't her as a child. She lived to 1913. So why, when you look her up, you see all of these black and white photos? And then the argument of, slavery was so long ago. It was 400 years ago. Get over it. But wait a minute. Harriet Tubman was alive till 1913. It says Harriet Tubman, March 822, March 10th, 1913, was an American abolitionist and social activist. After escaping slavery, Tubman made 13 missions to rescue approximately 70 enslaved people, including her family and friends, using a network of anti-slavery activists in safe houses known collectively as the Underground Railroad. During the American Civil War, she served as an armed scout and spy for the Union Army. In her later years, Tubman was an activist in the movement for women's suffrage. So yeah, she escaped slavery. She was born March 10th, 1822. She died in 1913. Like, this was not 400 years ago. And also, we had color photos. Anyways, that's what they do. Journalistic practices that are very deceitful, and they do it on a subconscious level where you can't really just put your finger on it and realize that you're being manipulated. Comment, it says, they do the black and white photo thing on purpose, shaking my head. See, first comment. Another one that says, I hate how uncomfortable he looks in his ancestors' land. Another one that says, the journalistic tactics to make this seem like it's old. It was only 38 years ago color photos existed. Yeah, so this was that photo that they're talking about right here. It says, whites only bus in South Africa, native and biggest population to black South Africans. The nerve of those things. Another comment, it says, and the fact that they had to wear identification papers to walk around in their own country. Yep. Sounds similar to some other situations. Another comment says, that's kind of the whole history of settler colonialism. They will always go to places with millions of people they don't like and moan about being around non-white people. Really shows how smart they are. Doesn't make any sense, really. Like, well, I guess it does if over time you're planning on eradicating them, turning them into the minority. Another comment says, it's how scared he looks that is heartbreaking. Another comment says, they love these photos being in black and white to pretend it was long ago. Another one says, absolutely stop trying to make stuff black and white like it was so long, colonizer propaganda. Another, imagine living in a country when you're in the majority, allowing foreigners to tell you where you can go and be in your own country. How does that happen? I need a voice break, y'all. Let me see. I wish I could play Bo the Fifth Column, but I can't because that dude does not play. Let's do... What do we want to do? On 1984, Brave New World. How democracy leads to tyranny. While you'll never achieve the American dream. Do we live in Brave New World? You can tell the kind of stuff I've been looking at. Hold on, which one? I want to play a little bit of one of these, but I don't know which one. Let's do Second Thought. I need a voice break.
Thought is a 100% viewer-funded operation. If you'd like to help support the channel and get some great perks while you're at it, consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/secondthought. The American Dream. A house in the suburbs, a white picket fence, 2.5 kids, a dog, and enough disposable income to save for retirement and go on a couple vacations a year. Hate to break it to you, but statistically speaking, you'll never be able to afford the American Dream. At least, not the way things are now. You know, with all the... Not great. But this notion of the American dream is persistent. A lot of people believe that it's something that still exists today.
The American dream. The American dream. American dream.
The American dream.
Where did this mythology come from, and why is it so hard to shake? Let's rewind a bit.
Ladies and gentlemen.
An embryonic form of the American dream can be traced back all the way to the early colonial period, where the continent was seen as a land of opportunity, a place to build a new life in a new home.
This land is mine!
This vision changed through the years, through the Industrial Revolution and territorial expansion, with new cities springing up and new frontiers to conquer, and the burgeoning industrial capitalist class preaching the possibility of upward mobility through hard work and character. The Gilded Age of the late 19th and early 20th centuries saw a boom in the US economy, and luxuries became more available to those in the middle and upper strata. This decadence and excess was alluring to the working class, who were promised that the only thing that stood between them and the life of their dreams was a little extra labor and determination. This is when the notion of the American dream began to crystallize. Then came the Great Depression, and the American dream became more of a national prayer, people hoping that one day they could achieve the stability their parents had enjoyed. FDR's New Deal revitalized the dream, alleviating poverty, stimulating the economy, and providing new opportunities for Americans to build a better life.
Americans as a whole are feeling a lot better, a lot more cheerful than for many, many years.
Then finally, after World War II, the American dream as we think of it today became enshrined in the public consciousness.
No other people anywhere have achieved more for themselves and for the rest of us than the thousands upon thousands of hard-working American men and women.
Good had triumphed over evil, the post-war economy was booming, the middle class was expanding, and you could buy a house for a nickel and 3 strawberries. There's a reason the Americana of the 40s and 50s is so prevalent in fascist propaganda. It tugs on the subconscious faith that the average person today can somehow achieve this miraculous level of general wealth and stability. Of course, there are reasons the American dream looks like it does in the public consciousness. The suburbs are a staple because upwardly mobile white people fled the cities to create white-only enclaves. Cars are a staple because the auto giants lobbied heavily against public transportation, creating the car dependency crisis we see today. But problems aside, where did the American dream go off the rails? What happened between the 50s and today that set off the downward spiral?
In this present crisis, government is not the solution to our problem. Government is the problem.
Okay, it's fun to blame Reagan personally for all our societal problems, but obviously that's an oversimplification. The logic of capitalism requires people like Reagan to act the way they do. That being said, Reagan was particularly zealous.
I am paying for this microphone, Mr.
If you take a look at just about any graph tracking economic trends, inequality, homelessness, productivity versus wages, there's always a noticeable change in trajectory during the Reagan years. Reagan's administration drastically accelerated the sale of the government to corporate interests. Anything that could be privatized was. Lobbying, what every other country calls corruption and bribery, went through the roof. Social safety nets were stripped away, and suddenly everything, even government agencies, had to start turning a profit. It should be obvious today that the whole trickle-down thing was a scam. It doesn't work. And multiple studies have confirmed that fact. But because Reagan was charismatic and an excellent speaker, he was an actor after all, he became a sort of messiah figure in the United States. Fast forward to today, and we can see the consequences of his miracles. According to a recent study, there is not a single state in the country where a married couple making $100,000 a year can afford the American dream. That's 2 adults, 2 kids, a pet, owning a home, and having some money left over to save for the future. It is impossible. All 50 states require more than $100,000 a year for what was once considered the baseline middle-class standard of living, and most of them require significantly more. In Massachusetts, for example, you'd need to make over $240,000 a year. Even in the least expensive state, Mississippi, you still need to make $109,000 a year. To make matters worse, the median income in all 50 states is well below the American dream threshold, with the median earner in states like California and Hawaii making barely half the required amount. And there's something that bothers me about stats like these. These figures always cite the median income, which, fine, that's a valid way to give a ballpark number. But it leaves out the fact that half of the people in every state don't even come close to the cited figure. If the median earner makes half of what they need to achieve the American dream, what about the people who make half of that? If people making $150,000 a year can't afford to have both a home and children, what hope does everyone else have? Okay, so out of curiosity, I dug up some stats on income brackets. As of 2024, 62.4% of households make less than $100,000 a year. 62% of families in the United States cannot afford a stable, middle-class life in the least expensive state in the country. And this problem is only getting worse. As cost of living continues to skyrocket and wages remain stagnant at best, the dream of owning a home is slipping away from the vast majority of younger Americans. But beyond housing, everything else is getting more expensive too. Cars, gas, groceries, electricity, and especially education. According to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, average college tuition and fees have exploded, rising by 1,200% since 1980.
Damn.
Kids used to be able to graduate from high school, land a job assembling cars or flipping burgers, and pay their way through college out of pocket. That is impossible today.
Impossible. 1,200% since the 80s. That's crazy. I met a guy, I was chopping up with a guy at work one day, and he was telling me that he worked a summer job and he was able to pay for college with the money that he made in his summer job. And I was like, God, like, wow, like, there's no way. What job could I work during the summer that would pay for my tuition in the fall? I guess it would have to be the fall and the spring because summer doesn't come around again until after 2 semesters. So you mean to tell me you could work a summer job and make enough to pay for 2 semesters? What job would that be, bro? Like, classes at my university go for about $1,200 a class. Full time is 4 to 5 classes. What's the math on that? 7,000 or something like that. $6,000. 12 for the semester. So over the summer you'd have to make $12,000. What the hell job could you work to do that? What job would you make 12 in 3 months? What job would that be?
There's a reason student loan debt is sitting at $1.74 trillion. If a student wants to get a higher education, their only options are to have wealthy parents or go into backbreaking debt. And the worst part is, when they graduate saddled with $100,000 in debt with criminal interest rates, their degree is essentially worthless because the only thing available to most graduates is gig work. As of 2023, almost all new jobs created in the US are part of the gig economy. 59 million Americans, over a third of the workforce, are doing some kind of gig work. That is insane. These jobs do not come with benefits. They do not offer labor protections. You're not classified as an employee. And for things like Uber, you're running your own car into the ground for a company that will not buy you a new one when yours fails. And then you have no transportation and no job. The entire economy is built to be as extractive as possible from as many people as possible to create the greatest profits for the smallest sliver of humanity. And that is the core of the problem. Every economic challenge we face, income inequality, stagnant wages, student loan debt, the cost of living crisis, inflation, the gigification of work, it all stems from the same root cause, the nature of capitalism itself. A lot of well-intentioned people like to claim that if we could just go back to the way things were after the New Deal, or if we could just get money out of politics or vote in the right people, we could fix this stuff. And I wish that were true. It's a nice thought. But that's not how this works. Restart the simulation a million times and we'll always end up right here. With everything falling apart for 99.9% of us, and billionaire freaks like Jeff Bezos going on a joyride to space, or Mark Zuckerberg selling our private data to Israel, or Elon Musk doing whatever the hell he's doing this week. And all the while, the government is cracking down on our ability to stand up for ourselves and demand something better. We live in a society that is rapidly devolving into fascism, and that's not hyperbole. Fascism is simply the logical outcome when capitalism starts to stumble. The ruling class circle the wagons, crack a few skulls to keep the people in line, and fan the flames of anti-communism to try to prevent the working class from threatening the capitalist status quo. Where does that lead? Every single time. It happened in Italy, it happened in Germany, in Spain, in Greece. Literally everywhere there's been a surge in anti-communist sentiment and the unholy merger of corporations and the state, this is what you end up with. In a system where corporations own the government and profit is the only thing that matters, and those profits begin to slip, wealthy and powerful oligarchs will use whatever means they have at their disposal to crush opposition and forcibly create market conditions that stabilize their profits. Throughout American history, outside our borders, that's always come with corporate-funded coups, CIA meddling, US-funded death squads, and a complete disregard for international law and human life. The question now is, what happens when the only way to maintain the status quo is to turn that violence inward? How far is the ruling class willing to go?
We don't want to know. There goes the resistance is futile right there. How far are the ruling class willing to go? We don't want to know the answer to that question.
And it may seem like we've gotten off track here, but that's the problem you run into when talking about topics like the American dream. It's part of the legacy of manifest destiny, American exceptionalism, and the myth of what the United States stands for. And that's all tied up with capitalism and the cult of endless growth. It's impossible to talk about one without the other. It's overwhelming to talk about because where do you even begin if everything is connected like this? That's why I start each video with a specific problem, like not being able to afford the American dream. When you begin to see each of these issues not as independent problems, but as cancerous growth spouting from the same disease, it starts to make more sense. When you boil capitalism down to its core characteristics, it looks something like this. An economic system designed to maximize profits by any means necessary, divided into two primary classes, the owner class and the working class. These two classes are inherently in contradiction with one another. The capitalist wants to extract the greatest possible profits from their workers, and the workers want to be paid as much as possible for their labor.
So yeah, this is one of the things I try to hammer home is that I use the term middle class just to help people to understand what I'm talking about or whatever, but the middle class doesn't really exist because everyone falls into either one of these categories. You know what I mean? You have the owner class and you have the worker class, basically. So you're either a worker or you're an owner. Like that's it. One or the other. That's the two spots that you fall in. You know, if you can't not go to work, if you can, you know, not go to work for a period of time and still be okay, then you're in the owner class. You know, that's a way to measure where you are, you know, because sometimes if you can own a company, but if it's a small company, you have to go to work to keep it going, then you're not really a part of that owner class per se. You know what I mean? You still have to go to work. Like you're the guy, you're like, you have a you have a taco truck or whatever, but you don't, it's not like you have multiple taco trucks. If you had multiple taco trucks and you had someone that managed that, then you're in the owner class. But if you have one taco truck and you have to go in there and open it up and make the food or whatever, do the food orders and all of that stuff, you're a worker.
These two goals cannot be reconciled, and so there will always be conflict. The problem in hyper-capitalist countries like the United States is that the capitalist class has near complete control. They've destroyed unions, gutted labor protections, bought favorable legislation to make those practices easier, and are now able to make things worse and worse for the average person. That's why you can't afford a home, or groceries, or a car. That's why you don't have any benefits. That's why every new job created is gig work. It's not because you're unlucky, or the country is just going through a rough spot, or the wrong person is in the Oval Office. This is how capitalism works. It will always be how it works, and it's why you will never be able to afford the American. And none of this is intended to scare you or turn you into a doomer. This is all just stuff we need to come to terms with. The American dream does not exist. The only reason it existed before was because the US empire was at the peak of its imperialist power. Its control over the rest of the world was absolute, and by causing horrific suffering around the world, the US could provide luxuries for its citizens. Today, that control is slipping. And as it slips, as the power and influence of the US empire wanes, we're increasingly seeing its fascist tendencies turn inward, spending obscene amounts of money funding proxy wars and genocides in a vain attempt to destabilize geopolitical challengers, cracking down on civil liberties, threatening students who speak out against US complicity in genocide, criminalizing poverty even as millions of Americans slip further into destitution. Anything the empire can do to maintain its dominance for just a few more years, to pad the bank accounts of the ruling class just a little more, it will do, including crushing the rest of us under their jackboots. The American dream is dead. The US project is illegitimate. It is a rogue state lashing out as it implodes. In the coming decades, our goal as normal people living under an increasingly fascist regime must be to build what comes next. Look to the Black Panthers for inspiration. Community defense, education initiatives, food programs for the hungry. Everything the US government is supposed to do but refuses, we must do ourselves. If we want to build a country that works for all of us, we need to lay the foundation today, before things have completely fallen apart. As always, there are links in the description for how you can get involved and do your part.
So yeah, facing reality is a huge part of being able to resist, or being a part of the resistance, if you will. It's funny how we cheer on the resistance, like when we watch Star Wars or whatever, but then in real life, we are a part of the what do they call them? You're a part of the other side. You're not a part of the resistance. You tell the resistance to go get a job, to just go to class. I find there's such a disconnect when it comes to that kind of thing. It's like, we cheer for the underdog in the movie, but in real life, we spit on the homeless people. Like the Will Smith movie, Pursuit of Happiness, through that movie, you're cheering for this guy. You want him to be successful. You want him to win or whatever. But in real life, you have these guys like the character Will Smith was playing in that movie who have talent. They have knowledge. They know how to do stuff. They just ended up in unfortunate circumstances, but kick them while they're down, trip them. This is what we do. In the movie, we cheer them on. In real life, we kick them while they're down. Let's read some comments. This is lobbying, what every other country calls corruption and bribery. Yep. Another one, it says, because you have to be asleep to believe in it. Another one, it says, as the board game Monopoly tried to teach us, the board doesn't get any bigger. And once one player owns all the properties, the game is over and all but one player loses. Yeah, Monopoly, only one player can win. They end up owning everything. And what's crazy about that is the game is over and you have to redistribute the resources and start over, because even the winner, can't go on if there's nobody to spend any money. There's nobody to move on his properties. There's nobody to charge fees for, because the people don't have any more money and you own everything. And it's like, I don't understand why we can't see that is the future. You keep going into this direction that we're going in, it ends up being that one, maybe five different people literally own everything, and the rest of us pay whatever price they want to charge us to be on their property. People don't look at the big picture. Another comment, it says, there's a history related to that game Monopoly, because it was supposed to be a cautionary tale and they changed the game or whatever. What is it? Dang it, I want to hear it. Look that up right quick. Because I remember seeing that the game had like 2 parts and it changed. They changed the game because they were saying it wasn't selling, so they changed it. Hold on, let me see if I can find this. Okay. Monopoly was invented to demonstrate the evils of capitalism. Let me see. And this one says, the history of Monopoly, when Monopoly was invented. Hold on, let's see this one. One second. BBC, Kate Raworth, July 28, 2017. Monopoly's inventor, Elizabeth McGee, would have sent herself straight to jail if she lived to know just how influential today's twisted version of her game turned out to be. By land, they aren't making it anymore, equipped Mark Twain. It's a maxim that would certainly serve you well in a game of Monopoly, the best-selling board game that has taught generations of children to buy a property, stack it with hotels, and charge fellow players sky-high rents for the privilege of accidentally landing there. The game's little-known inventor, Elizabeth McGee, would no doubt have made herself go directly to jail if she lived to know just how influential today's twisted version of her game has turned out to be. Why? Because it encourages its players to celebrate exactly the opposite values to those she intended to champion. Born in 1866, McGee was an outspoken rebel against the norms and politics of her times. She was unmarried into her 40s, independent and proud of it, and made her point with a publicity stunt. Taking out a newspaper advertisement, she offered herself as a young woman, American slave, for sale to the highest bidder. Her aim, she told shocked readers, was to highlight the subordinate position of women in society. We are not machines, she said. Girls have minds, desires, hopes, and ambition. In addition to confronting gender politics, McGee decided to take on the capitalist system of property ownership, this time not through a publicity stunt, but in the form of a board game. The inspiration began with a book that her father, the anti-monopolist politician James McGee had handed to her. In the pages of Henry George classic Progress and Poverty, 1879, she encountered his conviction that the equal right of all men to use the land is as clear as the equal right to breathe the air. It is a right proclaimed by the fact of their existence. Traveling around America in the 1870s, George had witnessed persistent destitution amid growing wealth, and he believed it was largely the inequality of land ownership that bound these two forces, poverty and progress, together. So instead of following Twain by encouraging his fellow citizens to buy land, he called on the state to tax it. On what grounds? Because much of the land's value comes not from what is built on the plot, but from nature's gift of water or minerals that might lie beneath its surface, or from the communal created value of its surroundings, nearby roads and railways, a thriving community, a safe neighborhood, good local schools and hospitals. And he argued that the tax receipts should be invested on behalf of all. Determined to prove the merit of George's proposal, Maggie invented and in 1904 patented what she called the landlord's game, laid out on a board as a circuit, which was a novelty at the time. It was populated with streets and landmarks for sale. The key innovation of the game, however, lay in the two sets of rules that she wrote for playing it. Under the prosperity set of rules, every player gained each time someone acquired a new property, designed to reflect George's policy of taxing the value of land, and the game was won by all when the player who had started out with the least money had doubled it. Under the monopolist set of rules, in contrast, players got ahead by acquiring properties and collecting rent from all those who were unfortunate enough to land there, and whoever managed to bankrupt the rest emerged as the sole winner. Sound a little familiar? Yeah, so I used to play this game as a kid. We played this game a lot. And the prosperity set of rules was never there. Like, as far as I know. It says the purpose of the dual set of rules, said McGee, was for players to experience a practical demonstration of the present system of land grabbing with all its usual outcomes and consequences, and hence to understand how different approaches to property ownership can lead to vastly different social outcomes. It might well have been called the game of life, remarked Maggie, as it contains all the elements of success and failure in the real world, and the object is the same as the human race in general seems to have, i.e., the accumulation of wealth. The game was soon a hit among left-wing intellectuals on college campuses, including the Wharton School, Harvard, and Columbia, and also among Quaker communities, some of which modified the rules and redrew the board with street names from Atlantic City. Among the players of this Quaker adaptation was an unemployed man called Charles Darrow, who later sold such a modified version to the games company Parker Brothers as his own. Once the game's true origin came to light, Parker Brothers bought up Maggie's patent, but then relaunched the board game simply as Monopoly and provided the eager public with just one set of rules, those that celebrate the triumph of one overall. Worse, they marketed it along with the claim that the game's inventor was Darrow, who they said had dreamed it up in the 1930s, sold it to Parker Brothers, and became a millionaire. It was a rags to riches fabrication that ironically exemplified Monopoly's implicit values: chase wealth, crush your opponents if you want to come out on top. So next time someone invites you to join a game of Monopoly, here's a thought. As you set out piles for the chance and community chess cards, establish a third pile for land value tax, to which every property owner must contribute each time they charge rent to a fellow player. And how high should the land tax be, and how should the resulting tax receipts be distributed? Such questions will no doubt lead to a fiery debate among the Monopoly board, but then that is exactly what Maggie had always hoped for. Interesting stuff, right? So, like I say, systems manage people. People manage systems. They didn't want that game to be popular and people to be playing it because it would have had the impact that this lady was intending on it to have. had it, it became as popular as the Monopoly game is today, if it still had that other set of rules. So like I say, systems manage people, people manage systems. You give these kids a game to play that reflects a philosophy that you want them to have. That leads to a continuation of the status quo. Robber barons, elite few, everyone else destitute. Call me crazy. Y'all want to talk about conspiracy theories and intricate, complex agendas of the president? Let's talk about how we ended up in the position that we're in, regardless of who's president. Your job has way more power over you than the president. People like whoever decided to put that game out in the version that it is in today has a lot more power over society than who is the president. The games people play, the games children play. And we want to belittle those things, and then we want to look at some complex conspiracy theory instead of just looking at what's the facts. How many of y'all played Monopoly? You're like, oh, the philosophy of Monopoly didn't have any impact on me. It was just a harmless game. Okay.
According to linguists, we're the only people left in the United States who generally still sound like our ancestors. Because if you listen to native-born Southern speakers, the average Southerner tends to sound more like this, what we call this Moonlight Magnolia's drawl. Because if you speed up that Southern drawl, over time it rapidly becomes a British accent.
Oh, shit.
Realize that people that came here from Europe were largely from the United Kingdom. So when they got here, this was more along the lines of their speaking tones. But that's the first and second generations coming off the boats, not their children. By the third and fourth generations, the kids don't quite sound like mum and dad anymore because they're starting to develop a slight elongation of the way they talk. What's today called the Virginia Tidewater accent. It's not a complete Southern drawl because that's a port area. But as you go farther into the southern interior and the years progress, the accent tends to get thicker, deeper, richer. By Arkansas, Alabama, Georgia, heck yeah, you got a full-blown Southern drawl. But people don't realize that in most cases in Louisiana, many of the native speakers don't sound like that. They tend to sound like this, I guarantee, especially around the bayous. Because you speed up that South Louisiana Cajun Creole accent, over time it becomes en français, French. With, of course, certain exceptions in New Orleans, which tend to sound like more like New Yorkers because of the Irish and the Sicilian Italian influence. So they tend to sound a bit more like this. And people tend to get a little confused because they think, what, you from New York? Nah, I'm from New Orleans. Why? According to linguists,
I'm from New
we're the only
Orleans.
people left in the United States who generally still sound like our ancestors. Because if you listen to native-born Southern speakers, the average Southerner tends to sound more like this, what we call this Moonlight Magnolia's drawl. Because if you speed up that Southern drawl, over time it rapidly becomes a British accent. Most people don't realize that people that came here from Europe were largely from the United Kingdom. So when they got here, this was more along the lines of their speaking tones. But that's the first and second generations coming off the boats, not their children. By the third and fourth generations, the kids don't quite sound like mum and dad anymore because they're starting to develop a slight elongation of the way they talk. What's today called the Virginia Tidewater accent. It's not a complete Southern drawl because that's a port area. But as you go farther into the southern interior and the years progress, the accent tends to get thicker, deeper, richer. By Arkansas, Alabama, Georgia, heck yeah, you got a full-blown Southern drawl. But people don't realize that in most cases in Louisiana, many of the native speakers don't sound like that. They tend to sound like this, I guarantee, especially around the bayous. Because you speed up that South Louisiana Cajun Creole accent, over time it becomes en français, French. With, of course, certain exceptions in New Orleans, which tend to sound like more like New Yorkers because of the Irish and the Sicilian Italian influence. So they tend to sound a bit more like this. And people tend to get a little confused because they think, what, you from New York? Nah, I'm from New Orleans. What? According
What? from New Orleans. I had to play it twice. I really enjoyed the way that she flowed between the different accents. And I really enjoy the freaking Louisiana accents. I just got a thing for that. Like, I love to hear those people talk. I ain't gonna lie. The ones that's from the swamp and the bayou, those ones especially, and the ones that are like more up north, the ones that are more French sounding. Yeah, I love to hear it. You know, at first I was gonna focus on linguistics and anthropology, and then I realized how much math was in it and how hard it was. I was like, I don't think I'm smart enough for this. So I was like, yeah, I can't do it. Those linguistic folks are smart, bro. Like these people are very, very intelligent, bro. Like, I ain't on that level. I ain't gonna lie to myself. Comments, it says, whoever did this, she's a beast at impressions, really took too good, like schizo good. Another comment says, I ain't never heard that New York sounding New Orleans accent. Another one that says, anybody who likes this clip should go watch the whole video. Very informative. Yeah, I don't know what video this is. I've never seen this. I don't know who that was talking. I don't know anything about it. Another comment, it says, the way she slid in and out of the different tones and textures of speaking, plus gave us gems. Another one, don't confuse New York and New Orleans. We New Yorkers don't sound like them. You know, specifically the New Orleans accent, like when someone is talking, I automatically know that they're from New Orleans, like automatically, like specifically New Orleans. You know, my mom is from Louisiana. She gets that. She gets around her people. She gets that boutoir, toi stuff. She starts talking like them. But that's different. She's from like Appaloosas, like country, or well, her people, and that's different from New Orleans accent. Like it's totally different. So like that's why I can easily identify people. Like the people that talk the toi stuff, I don't necessarily know where they're from, but the New Orleans folks, automatically I know where they're from. Like I don't know. I feel like New Orleans is our sister city with Houston, even more than Dallas, San Antonio, for some reason. And the people travel back and forth between New Orleans and Houston a lot. And a lot of people in Houston, well, around Texas, have relatives in Louisiana. But it's like specifically New Orleans, because New Orleans is the big city, which is not a big city. I mean, it take like 15 minutes to drive around the whole thing. But the Louisiana is like country, like the whole Louisiana is like country. And it's like New Orleans is a city. So it's like that dynamic is going on there that makes it different. So, and I think that's the reason why, because so city people tend to move around a lot. We drive and stuff like that. So us driving to Louisiana is not a big deal. For the people who live like in the countrysides, they don't do that as much. Like, I think that's the reason why, you know, we have this sisterhood with New Orleans specifically. Comment says, I'm from South Carolina and we don't sound like none of that. Well, linguistics is complicated. So she was speaking in general terms just to help us understand. Another comment, it says, told people we don't sound Southern in Virginia. Another comment, it says, most Black Americans still don't know we're American Indians and didn't come from America. Another one, it says, the flow between the accents were so fluent and effortless. I love that. Another comment, it says, I need her to answer my phone for these collectors. Another comment says, people love to talk about Baltimore's accent as well, but we used to be a major port from the UK and our accent is largely influenced by it. Another comment, so we all agree that Nola has the best Southern accents. Another comment says, she had me until she actually said New Orleans is exactly how people not from here think we sound saying it. New Orleans. That's how they say it. New Orleans, New Orleans. Nah, New Orleans. Yeah, man. I ain't gonna lie. I really, really, really like the way he talked. So that when he said, so he agreed New Orleans is the best Southern accent. I don't know. It's just something about him. I think another part of influence has to do with Haiti, with the way people talk in Louisiana in general, but specifically in New Orleans too, because some of that Haitian Creole, I think, I could be wrong. I'm not an expert in this area, but I would think that part of the reason why New Orleans folks sound different from the rest of Louisiana may be all of the Haitian influence. People move around a lot, and I think that people forget that when you look at history and you like, I don't know, they think that people in history were different than the people of today. I mean, they were different, but as far as the way we behave as humans, certain basic human behaviors are the same, throughout time. And people moving around and traveling is a thing that humans do. Like that's a thing that we do all the time, naturally. And so you had people moving back and forth from the islands, to the main continent of the main American continent all the time. Like, I don't know what people think, that they didn't have boats back then or something, like they didn't know how to navigate. Like, that is not the case. Like, they had boats and they were able to navigate, and they did it, and they traveled back and forth all the time. All the time. Regardless of what you called the country, like if it was under British rule or not, or if it was under Spain, or if it was under France, like, to the people that live there, like, that stuff is not a thing. You know what I mean? Like, and the borders that you make up and call this area Louisiana and call this area Texas, or whatever the hell you call it, like, the people don't see it that way, if that makes any sense. Man, it feels like something's biting me. It says, on this day, 1954, unanimous U.S. Supreme Court handed down its Brown versus Board of Education of Topeka decision. On this day, 70 years ago, a unanimous U.S. Supreme Court handed down its Brown versus Board of Education of Topeka decision. It held that racially segregated public schools were inherently unequal and therefore unconstitutional. There goes another black and white picture. Look at that. We was just talking about this. Getty Images. 1954. You mean to tell me they didn't take this picture in color in 1954? 1954. What? 70 years ago. Is people alive still today that was alive then? And this color, this picture was taken in black and white? Help me understand why they put this picture here in black and white. Come on. It was so long ago. Oh my God, it was so long ago that the picture had to be in black and white. Y'all get over it. Y'all get over this segregation, integration, thing. That was racism is over, bruh. That was ancient history, bruh. That was 400 years. Look at this black and white picture, bruh. Let me read a comment. It says, it's pretty alarming to think if Brown versus Board of Education was heard in front of today's Supreme Court, the plurality of Republicans on the bench will probably vote in favor of allowing segregation in schools to continue, touting states' rights. And this is why elections matter. I ain't gonna lie. I agree with that comment. I think if this came across the present makeup of the Supreme Court, yeah, it'd probably be a 6-3 decision. Next comment says, if Brown were decided today, segregation would be upheld 6-3. Another one, it says, I'm just waiting for the GOP to try and reverse this too. Like, they're undoing a lot of stuff. We're going backwards in a lot of ways. I would not be surprised. Like, I totally would not be surprised. This one, it says, the beginning of the school to prison pipeline. We didn't need to send our kids to their school. We just needed equal facilities and resources. You know, and that is a very fair argument. A lot of people have been making that argument, and I sympathize with that argument. I think actually that is right. And so, but the problem with that was that those schools didn't get the funding. They didn't have the facilities. You know, that was the problem. So, but maybe it would have been okay for those schools to continue to not have the funding and facilities that these other schools had. And it would have forced those communities to get the funding together to fund their schools and make sure that those facilities, they didn't have to be exactly the same as those others facilities, just good enough. You know what I mean? Good enough to provide a service to the community, you know? One of the things I think is a problem with the Black community is when they're like, oh, we want to have a house like them folks over there or whatever. And it's like, well, then go just live in their house then, bro. You could be the house nigga that you want to be. God forgive me, but I agree. You know, what about the sports, the way the sports things turned out, you know? And to this day, they take the best athletes from the Black communities and they tend to go to these white schools, because at those white schools they have the best facilities still to this day. So like, what has really changed? And you know, so then they have the best opportunities to go and be seen by scouts so that they could possibly play that sport professionally. You know, how many people get drafted from HBCUs? So, you know, it's an extraction from the community is what it is and what it turned out to be. So it worked in their favor. So I agree with this lady's comment right here. I think that it would have been better. I mean, as hard it is for me to say it, because really integration, really diversity, it benefits white folks the most. It does. Hard to believe it, and a lot of white people wouldn't admit to it, but it does. That's just the reality. So, you know, maybe the integration wasn't a good thing for the Black community. Another comment, it says, if this was in today's court, it would have never have happened. The biggest now rule the court. Another one, and now the racist right just uses terms like school choice to fund their segregation academics. But you know, even though I said a minute ago that, you know, it'd probably be a 6-3 decision, I could totally be wrong on that. You know, they brought a good argument, and it was about the separate but equal argument. And they could show evidence that it wasn't equal. And that's how they won. So if they are upholding the actual law, like they actually, you know, put forth a good enough argument, because there was a surprising ruling that happened recently. And I would have thought that Clarence Thomas would have went against this particular ruling, but he didn't. He supported it. Not only that, he the one who wrote the majority deal about it. It was about, let me see, let me find this. It was about consumer protections. And I remember we talked about this in the show previously, and I said at that time that it was going to get, you know, they were going to win and they were going to chop up the consumer protection deal. But that's not what happened. They upholded it because they were saying the money that, you know, this They don't have oversight. And they get to just use tax dollars however they want. And that's unconstitutional. That was their argument. But Clarence Thomas was like, this stuff is for everyone. Really interesting that he made that particular stand on it. Where is that? Give me a second, y'all. That's why I like to let the stuff just pop up, because it takes so much time. I definitely want to talk about GameStop. We'll probably go into that after this. Let me see if I can find this. I could probably just search it up on YouTube right quick. But I thought I had a clip in here. I want to talk about Haiti too before we get out of here. See it. Nelson Mandela. It's like when you're looking for something, it's never there. Like if you're not looking for it, it just pops up. Let me see. Do I have something in here? I don't even remember where I saw this. Let's just type it in. Ain't no telling what the hell's gonna pop up. That's why I don't like to do that. Hold on, let me check one more thing before I do that. Joe Rogan's comments on Israel was pretty freaking not on point. Damn it. All right, let's type it in. What do I type in? Supreme Court decision. Hold on. See if this pops it up. CFPB, yeah, that's it. CFPB, but I wanted to hear, where did I see it? Oh, CFPB. I want to the one where they was breaking it down. Let's see. I think it was on, was it Forbes? Yeah, this is really interesting because the conservatives are the ones that push this in, and you have a conservative majority in the Supreme Court, but they kicked this out. So that's what made me think of this, because we were talking about board of versus the segregation thing, Brown versus education, and saying that today they might kick that out, but then I was like, maybe they wouldn't, depending on the argument. Oh, let's just go to any one of these because I'm wasting time. New York Post. Oh, this is one of those freaking videos of infographic videos. This is not what I want. I'm gonna keep looking.
Meantime, the Supreme Court has handed down a major decision upholding the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. The banking industry had argued the watchdog agency is illegally funded, but today, in a 7-2 opinion, the court rejected the attack and a major win for the Biden administration and Democrats. Let's bring in ABC senior Washington reporter Devin Dwyer and ABC News business reporter Alexis Christoforous for more on this. Devin, big picture, what does this ruling mean?
It's a big win for the Biden administration, as you said, Phil, and also for consumers, those who sought protection from corporate financial abuses after the 2008 financial crisis. This is the agency that was created by Congress, led by Democrats, Senator Elizabeth Warren, to try to prevent some of those abuses, things that preyed on consumers, confused consumers during the mortgage crisis that led up to that period of time. And conservatives for years have sought to undermine the agency, get it struck down as unconstitutional. And this was a major challenge in that vein, Phil. Here, a number of banks had said that the agency was unconstitutionally funded because Democrats had designed it to be insulated from Congress. Instead of having to go to Congress every year to ask for money, this agency is funded through the Federal Reserve, and it receives a standing amount of money every year, so it can't be eliminated. And today, Justice Clarence Thomas, in that 7-2 opinion, said that structure, that mechanism is constitutional. The agency can stand, and all those regulations that it's passed to protect more than 4 million consumers, handing down $20 million in fines to banks over the past few years, all of that can remain in place now going forward because they rejected this challenge.
7-2 is a firm decision. Having said that, Alexis, how does this impact consumers?
Well, they're not going to see any change now after the Supreme Court ruling. This agency will be able to continue to do what it's been doing since 2011 when it was created post the financial crisis of 2008. It will continue to crack down on predatory lending and enforce consumer protection laws. The agency releasing this to us here at ABC today, saying this decision is, quote, a resounding victory for American families and honest businesses alike. They're saying they delivered more than $20 billion in consumer relief to hundreds of millions of consumers, and that they've also handled more than 4 million consumer complaints since their inception. Had this gone the other way, it could have put other agencies at risk that get their funding through the Federal Reserve, like the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, which we know, helps to protect our money in the bank.
All right, Alexis Christoforous, Devin Dwyer, thank you both very, very much.
Yeah, so that doesn't really help y'all understand what's happening, I don't think. I wanted to hear
Supreme Court rejecting an attempt to undercut funding of the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau today. For more on the decision, we'll bring in Yahoo Finance's Alexis Keenan. Alexis.
Hi, guys. Yeah, so this was a 7-2 decision. And what it did is it allowed the CFPB to really stay in force. It's going to remain as is, and it's been a really controversial bureau from the get-go. You can go back for years and see how partisan the debate is along this agency. And one of the reasons is this. You had these payday lenders bringing this to the Supreme Court, saying that the CFPB's funding is unconstitutional. Why? They said, well, it violates the appropriations clause. And what that is a mandate that says, from the Constitution, that says that Congress, right, has the power of the purse, and they have to identify specific reasons for spending the public's money. So they have to make a law to say how it's going to be spent. Now, these lenders say that because the Bureau draws its money from the Federal Reserve and not from this direct edict from Congress, that doesn't work. But no, the Supreme Court here saying in the majority that it is okay, that's enough authority from Congress. Now, the CFPB, to kind of go back and talk about briefly the things it's trying to do, what its mandate is to try to prevent lenders, banks, credit card lenders, auto lenders from predatory, unfair practices. So they write rules, they enforce laws, and that was created all the way back in 2010 in the wake of the 2008 financial crisis. So its existence, though, always been a thorny issue. Republicans, some, not all, there's some reporting out there that says approximately 75% of Republican lawmakers do support the agency's existence, but others saying that, look, not all fees are bad. Even the government, the IRS, charges fees. So why can't the public sector do it too? But looks like the Bureau is going to be able to continue to do its job for now. For now, not without pushback, of course. There will be other stabs at this agency.
That one was a good breakdown of it. I still don't see what I was looking for. Supreme Court decision, CFPB. What's his name? Clarence Thomas. Really surprising to me that Clarence Thomas was the one who gave the I still don't see what I'm looking for.
In a surprise move, the conservative Supreme Court reversed a lower court decision that actually sided with predatory payday lenders and would have dismantled the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. In other words, the Supreme Court's ruling today is incredibly good news. So in a 7-2 decision written by Justice Clarence Thomas, I'm living in an alternate reality. This is amazing. The court upheld as constitutional the Bureau's funding mechanism, which is based on profits from the Federal Reserve rather than an annual appropriation from Congress. So let me just back up a little bit and explain how this case made its way to the Supreme Court. It all started with payday lenders trying to dismantle the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, which was established after the 2008 economic collapse in order to protect consumers, to ensure that consumers who have been screwed over or defrauded by financial institutions or banks are made whole by this agency, this government agency that investigates wrongdoing and ensures that consumers are refunded the money that they were scammed out of as a result of financial institutions. Now, the payday lenders absolutely hate the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau because they're basically engaging in oversight over things like payday lenders. And so what they try to argue, the payday lenders, is that the way the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau is funded, which is through the Federal Reserve, is unconstitutional. That they should instead be funded through Congress appropriating the money. But we all know what Congress appropriating money is like. That's when things get political, obviously. That's when the legalized bribery baked into our system comes to play. That's when the payday lenders can come in, legally bribe the politicians on both sides, and effectively encourage them and persuade them to dismantle this agency that actually does deliver for ordinary Americans. And in fact, they have returned $20 billion to ordinary Americans through the work that they're doing. Now, the case involved a decision by the conservative US Court of Appeals for the Fifth Circuit that said the funding mechanism Congress adopted to ensure the CFPB's independence violated the Constitution's command requiring congressional appropriation of money. The decision by a panel of 3 judges nominated by President Donald Trump said the agency's insulation from congressional committees doubled the violation. And the Biden administration luckily challenged that notion. They challenged the Fifth Circuit's decision. Upholding the appeals court decision could have implications for the funding of other regulatory agencies, the government said, including the Federal Reserve Board, and could even cast doubt on Social Security and payments to the national debt. And that was probably very likely also part of the agenda by the plaintiffs in this case. Now, the majority of justices luckily sided with the Biden White House. The CFPB, again, is literally the only government agency that seeks justice for ordinary Americans who have been screwed over by financial institutions. They have recovered more than $20 billion since it was established following the 2008 economic collapse. And the CFPB, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, was part of the Dodd-Frank Wall Street Reform and Consumer Protection Act, which was weak. It was a weak regulatory bill that did pass. It was watered down by the time it passed. But one of the good things that came along with it was the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. Now, there were two dissenting judges, or justices, I should say, and those justices were Neil Gorsuch and Samuel Alito, who do believe that Congress should be the governing body that allocates the funds to the agency. Alito argued that, quote, there is apparently nothing wrong with a law that empowers the executive to draw as much money as it wants from any identified source for any permissible purpose until the end of time. But look, that's not actually true, okay? Because the way the CFPB is funded is important to understand. Basically, following the economic collapse of 2008, which of course was spurred by predatory lending, these financial institutions and banks engaging in predatory behavior, part of the Dodd-Frank law made it so banks would have to contribute to this, like, think of it as like an insurance fund, right? And through that insurance fund, the CFPB is funded. So the CFPB is not funded through your tax dollars. It's actually funded through the profits made by the banks. The very banks that screwed over countless Americans and led to one of the most devastating foreclosure scandals in American history. So I would much rather have the banks pay for the CFPB rather than have Congress appropriate taxpayer money for the CFPB. And as we know, Congress can easily be bribed into dismantling the CFPB, which is why the funding mechanism is not with Congress, it's with the Federal Reserve through funds that were provided by the banks.
So yeah, hopefully this gives a good understanding of what happened. And so, but this is really important, something that actually looks out for the people is a good thing. After what happened in 2008, you would think that they would have made all kinds of changes. And like I was saying, like those banks, if you don't do a good job at what you do, you should go out of business. Like they're not going to come and bail me out if I make a business and it fails. It doesn't matter how big the damn business is. There was banks out there that was doing good things at this time. And it really sucks because those banks that were doing the right thing at that time, some of them ended up getting gobbled up by these banks that were doing shady things. It couldn't even balance their books, but they got all this money from the government to keep them going. So, and they turned around and used that money to buy the good banks. God, it's like the worst fucking shit. The worst result that you could have asked for in that situation. Terrible, terrible, terrible. The good guys suffer, the bad guys fucking get rewarded. So yeah, they wanted to be able to screw people over as much as they can and not have anybody looking over them and nobody making them pay that when they've done shady stuff, So, this is good right here. And it was surprising because they've been getting a lot of wins lately in that arena. But they took an L on this one in a 7-2 decision. So that's surprising. It's a good thing. So who knows, it was a good thing that it ended up in the Supreme Court because otherwise, it could have totally went in another direction. Paying attention to stuff like that is everything, They want everyone to be asleep. And when things happen and you get screwed over or whatever, like I don't recommend anybody going to payday loans anyways. You're going to get screwed like regardless in that situation. But when you don't have an agency to help you have agency, then you can mercilessly be exploited. At least they have to tell you what you're getting into, like, you know what I mean? Otherwise, they probably wouldn't even have to tell you that. Like, bro, you're about to get screwed. I mean, you want this money? I know you really need it. I'm going to give it to you, but they have to show you the numbers. Like, these are the numbers, bro. You finna pay 10 times the amount you're getting. We'll come take your house or whatever. We're gonna get ours. You really want this money? Mosquito population booms in Houston area after heavy rainfall. I swear they've been eating me up, man. At work, in my car, everywhere. Freaking mosquitoes eating me up, bro. It says, it's no surprise that after it rains, we have to deal with all these pesky mosquitoes. Director of Harris County Public Health Mosquito Control Division, Dr. Max Vigilant, said his team has been busy setting up mosquito traps. They're looking for 5 viruses that are transmitted by mosquitoes in the Houston area, including West Nile, St. Louis encephalitis, chikungunya, never heard of that one, dengue, and Zika. If any mosquito tests positive, they will then spray that area. In the meantime, they're asking for the public's help. So they only gonna spray the area if they find a mosquito that's carrying one of these diseases. Otherwise, you're on your own. Just get ate up, you know. Hey, ain't nothing we can do. We can't handle all of these mosquitoes, bro. We got to focus on certain areas. Yeah. I always wonder whenever they say stuff like that, because it's like, what neighborhoods are they talking about? Who's living in those neighborhoods? If you don't know, the neighborhoods are segregated. So yeah, but then you're gonna have people complaining, they spraying, they're gonna be like, oh, I can't breathe, like they're spraying chemicals everywhere. I mean, like, what do you want? I mean, like, you can't have it both ways, you know. You gotta choose pick a side, you know. These damn mosquitoes, man, like, bruh. I don't know what they could do about it. It's Houston. We got so much water everywhere, just sitting there. You know, I was watching a thing when they were talking about the evolution of mosquitoes and how you have some mosquitoes now that prey predominantly on humans, like humans are their overall prey in it. This has happened as an adaptation over time. And also these same mosquitoes, they can breed in like clean water. Like the previous mosquito, like before it evolved, it would prefer stagnant water, you know, and that's what they tell you too, you know, like if there's stagnant water around your house, there's water in like whatever, dump it out, you know, make sure you keep a check on that. But the fresh water, man, it's not really much you can do about that. There's fresh water everywhere, like, and the mosquitoes are breeding in the fresh water, and they are preying, you know, mostly on humans. Like they're following humans, like they go around cities, like that's where that breed hangs out, where there's a lot of people and where there's a lot of fresh water sitting around. Yeah, so they're saying that humans has had an impact on the evolution of these insects, and they have evolved to prey on humans because there's so many people now. You know, there wasn't so many people before, and these insects would prey on multiple different animals, you know, but now it's so many humans. Let's go hang out by a city. We guarantee food. Comment, it says, FYI, these mosquitoes out here in Houston have fur on them. They're big as hell, and they'll pull your socks to bite you. It said they'll pull your socks down to bite you. Oh my God, bro. You know, Louisiana, I remember we talked about Louisiana a little bit earlier, but it's like going back and forth to Louisiana. Mosquitoes were bigger in Louisiana from my memory. Maybe it's because I'm a kid. I was a kid and I, you know, didn't. But from my perspective, the mosquitoes were much bigger in Louisiana, like big freaking bumblebee looking mosquitoes, bro. Like you can hear them fly by, like a damn helicopter just went by your head, like and they bump into you, like, you know, somebody just threw something at you, like, I don't know, man. Shoot. So maybe the Houston mosquitoes are getting big like that now. Another comment says, when's the city gonna start spraying? I think they already are. We're in for a long hot summer, man. And the heat and the mosquitoes are gonna be a constant irritant. It says we need more bats. That's a really good comment right there. And we do have a large population of bats here in Houston, certain areas, but people have like a stigma against bats. And I really don't know why. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's because of the movies, vampire movies and stuff like that. And like people got a negative view of bats, but bats don't do anything to us humans. They freaking eat the insects that prey on us, like bats, they don't do anything to us. Like they don't. Like I don't know why people are afraid of them. Bro, we do. We need more bats. It's like bring in some bats. It's probably a good idea. Instead of trying to use artificial and chemical ways to deal with the mosquitoes, do it in a natural way. Bats are natural predators for the mosquitoes. Bring in some more bats, bro. Support the bat populations. Build infrastructure that's friendly to them. Another comment says, do they still drive the mosquito spray trucks around? Another one that says, you misspelled Bill Gates dropped $1 billion bioengineered mosquitoes. Yeah, that's true. I don't think that was in our area. That was in Florida. But also, like, the point of it was to make the sterile, make them mate with the, and not make babies. So who knows what the impact would be over time. I don't know if it's a good idea to release genetically modified freaking mosquitoes. Like that sounds like the beginning of a horror movie. Another comment says, they ate me up like a dang buffet. Telling you, man. And I was watching the videos about how certain people get bit more than others. And I think I'm that person because I was at work and I was like, y'all getting bit by these mosquitoes? Like, no, man, it's just you. Like, damn, man, why the fuck they want to be? Another comment says, why must they test positive to spray when they're eating us alive? Just spray. Another one, I got stung through my shirt and it feel like a flu shot. This is a different breed. I'm telling you, bro. Like I wear a long sleeve shirt at work and they're biting me on my arms. Like the hell? Dudes, they got hypodermic needles. I don't know how much longer I'm gonna go on. How long have I been on already? Almost 3 hours. Let's save some for tomorrow. Let me see. Do I have the GameStop stuff here? Those people who bought those GameStop stocks are still holding those stocks. Like the media tried to brush that shit under the rug like it's not a big deal. The people won and continue to win when it comes to that. And that's really cool. I love to hear anything about the people winning over these freaking big corporations. They win all the time. Can the people get a win every now and then? Shit. This is funny right here. This who wore it better? German District, Texas. Look at that shit. Surrounding like the metropolitan Houston area. You gotta ask yourself, why did they draw that up like that? You want to talk about how the elections are rigged? This is it right here. Boom, this is it. The politicians choose their voters, not the other way around. Let's see, because this one guy broke down the GameStop thing really good. Is this it? I don't think this is it, but let's do it.
Stocks like AMC and BlackBerry were surging on Tuesday, and GameStop surged 72% on Monday. But why? So-called meme stocks are companies whose shares are lifted by social media instead of growth and profits. Meme stocks surged in 2021 when retail investors started talking about certain companies on the Reddit page Wall Street Bets, and people started buying up shares. A man named Keith Gill, who goes by the Roaring Kitty, was a big leader in the first meme stock craze. He said he made millions in GameStop stock after buying shares for $53,000 back in 2019. And after a 3-year hiatus, he started posting on X this week. All he posts are video clips and memes, but the conversation over on Wall Street Bets has been reignited, with many scooping up shares and posting about their quick gains. Virgin Galactic is up 31%, Beyond Meat is up 28%, BlackBerry is up 17%, and AMC Entertainment shares soared 93% in Tuesday morning trading. But Nigel Green, CEO of financial advisory firm DeVere Group, says there are risks to buying up meme stocks. While some may make big money, the valuations of these stocks are expected to be incredibly wild in both directions. And hedge funds who shorted stocks, meaning they bet the stock would decline, are losing money. Hedge funds with short positions in GameStop lost more than $1 billion on Monday, according to analytics firm S3 Partners. Meme stocks like AMC and BlackBerry were surging on.
Love to hear BlackRock losing money. That's fantastic. And these people are in it for the long haul. That's why we talking about to the moon. So they're holding these stocks. They're not. See, the short sale is the way that the stock market makes the most money. And then you got her saying, this could be volatile or whatever. You could lose money, da 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 da. And I'm not here to give any financial advice. I don't even have any stocks, but I understand this stuff. So it's like they're gonna tell you, hey, don't do this because it's hurting these hedge funds. You know what I mean? Because they're shady. So we're pointing out the shade of them. Like another part of this, I want to go into that after this, is the politicians are making a shit ton of money right now. Well, not just right now, but historically, but right now specifically in the stock market with these crazy trades that they're making, like random ass trades right before certain information comes out of their fucking committee and causes the stock to drop. So they sell anyways. Fucking insider trading, shadiness, corruption. Let's read this. It says meme stocks are surging, but why? There are companies like AMC and GameStop whose shares are lifted by social media instead of growth or profits. And thanks to Redditors who are scooping up their shares, their stocks are soaring. So yeah, like even the way you could see the way CBS saying this, like it's in a negative thing. You know what I mean? So when these hedge fund managers, these freaking BlackRock and them, when they do stuff, it's always looked at in a positive way. But when it's regular folks doing it, it's a negative thing. Comment, it says, fun fact, growth and profits don't affect stock price. Speculation does. The stock isn't the company. Exactly. So yeah, and that's where we're talking about up here, talking about instead of growth and profits. Instead of growth and profits, see, they're cheating. You know what I mean? It's like, whatever, bro. It's a fugazi. It's a game. It's a pyramid scheme. It's a, and so if the regular folks use it to their advantage, then you're mad. It's speculation. These futures that they use all the time, they want to be able to rig the game in their favor, and they don't want regular folks to benefit. Another comment that says, just so I'm clear, the guy named Roaring Kitty that is able to manipulate stocks based off memes. Yep, you're right. Another comment that says, and on Tuesday, they also halted both GME and AMC because they don't like the average investors to make millions. Only Wall Street is allowed to cheat the system. So yeah, so they're going to step in and halt that shit. force it so what you can't buy it or whatever. Like shady, 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 bro. Oh, I hate them. Another comment says they should talk about and only about what hedge funds are about. They finally realizing that retail cracked the code. Another one says, yeah, get those hedge funds. So like a lot of these people aren't in this to make money. They're in this to hurt the big guy. Okay? That's what people have to understand. Because you buy these stocks and you hold them. So therefore you're not making any money. You won't make any money until you sell. But if you sell, then you're going against what you're trying to do, which is stick it to them. Another comment says, oh no, will the hedge funds be okay? Another one that says, this has nothing to do with retail or Roaring Kitty. Retail didn't trade 100 million shares yesterday on GME. Another comment that says, the stocks were halted 17 times, and these companies have had steady growth since 2020, but it hasn't be represented in the price due to manipulation from the market makers, aka crime. Yeah, I'm looking for this guy who talked about this. He broke it down really good. Let me see if I got him in here. Can't think of his name. I know I got some old stuff in here for him, so I'll look for that and then I'll go to his channel. Because I do not know this guy's name. He does TikToks and he has like a YouTube channel too. Does like a podcast YouTube show. But mostly people know him from his TikToks. Let's see if we can find it. I hate the way the screen be jumping. Guess we're going to have to find the old one. I thought I shared it. Can't think of his name, so I won't be able to type it in. Oh, there he goes. Greg Stalker. Wasn't that far back. Where is it? Did he delete it? Did I just pass it up? Let's see. Slow down. Forgive me, y'all. It's always hard to look for what you're to find what you're looking for. Why is this one blocked? He did like 3 videos on him. I don't see none of them. Oh, fuck, that sucks. Apologies, y'all. I'm gonna just go back to my thing and see what pops up because I don't see it. I wonder, is it somewhere else? Let's just move on. I'm wasting time. I apologize. He broke down the GameStop thing really, really good. It's a complicated thing. Students are thinking about not going to Columbia University.
There is an epidemic in this country of people who don't want to work. People who can't be bothered to get up every day and contribute to our society, but instead want to freeload off the labor of others. But those aren't blue-collar people. Those aren't working-class people. It's a group of people who are never talked about for how little they actually work and produce and how little they contribute to humanity. The people I'm talking about are the Wall Street freeloaders, the masters of passive income. Those who profit off the labor of others have all the time in the world, while those who make this country run, the people who build the products and contribute to labor, have less and less time for themselves, for their families, and for their lives. I agree there is an epidemic in this country of people who don't want to work. People who can't be bothered to get up every day and contribute to our society, but instead want to freeload off the labor of others. But those aren't blue-collar people. Those aren't working-class people. It's a group of people who
UAW President Shawn Fain called out Wall Street freeloaders while testifying in Congress in support of a 32-hour work week. Those who profit off the labor of others have all the time in the world, while those who make this country run have less and less time for themselves, for their families, and for their lives. Comment, it says, Trump is only person to turn this around. Biden is destroying America and shipping our tax money to his Ukraine banks. Another one that says, this is the sexiest thing I've ever heard a straight man say. Pause, bro. You should have put a pause after that. Another comment that says, bro straight up called out all of the politicians in Congress and House right now with their insider trading. Oh, yeah, that was the thing I wanted to look at. Because they asked Nancy Pelosi, they was like, yo, should Congress people be able to trade stocks? She was like, it's a free market. We should be able to participate just like anybody else. Like, okay, but you shouldn't have more information on, you shouldn't be able to trade on some shit that you have fucking information. Shit, they take people to jail for that shit. That's what Martha Stewart went to jail for. That's like literally illegal. I mean, like if it is a free market and you don't have any more information than anybody else, then okay, yeah, cool. But if you're trading stocks on some shit that you just freaking voted on in committee on whether to like I don't know, give money to a company or shut down a company or constrict them in some kind of way or whatever it is, some kind of like information about that company's finances not being straightforward or anything like that, no, you should not be able to trade in that. I can't find anything I'm looking for today. That's the reason why I like to go in order and I just talk about whatever pops up. I'm not finding anything today. man. Let's type it in. What do we want to put in? Nancy Pelosi, insider trading. It's not just her. They do it on both sides, the Republicans and the Democrats. And recently, it was a trade that happened that was so blatant, and that one didn't involve Nancy Pelosi. It was this other guy, and it was like he was on a committee that made a decision about a certain company, and right before the information hit, he sold all his stock in that company. And then that company stock plummeted. That's that next day. Sometimes it'd be articles that I read, and whenever it's an article that I read, I can never remember the name of the article or where I read it. I think that's what's happening today.
In light,
I'm looking for articles instead of clips that I had.
2023, Congresswoman Nancy Pelosi and her venture capitalist husband made a significant investment in NVIDIA, a company known for its work in artificial intelligence and semiconductors, and also known for being the S&P 500's best performing stock in 2023, rising 239%. On the 22nd of November, she bought 50 call options on NVIDIA stock with a strike price of $120, expiring on December 20th, 2024. Call options are bets that the price of a stock will rise past a certain point in a certain period of time. The more it rises past that point, the more you profit. So the total value of Pelosi's investment ranged between $1 and $5 million. But the crazy thing, fast forward just 2 months after her trade, and NVIDIA shares have skyrocketed up 25%, pushing new all-time highs and making Pelosi's options worth a hell of a lot of money. But this again brings into question the ethics of congressional stock trading, especially when it comes to buying shares in companies directly related to the very legislation that the representatives are voting on. Because the results are getting egregious. If we take a look at 2023, you can see 32 congressmen or women beat the S&P 500, which itself had a phenomenal year, rising 24.8%. So beating the market last year in itself is very improbable, yet members of Congress seem to do it no problem. As you can see, Nancy Pelosi sits in 9th place with a return of 65.5%. That's literally better performance than the world's best investors. Even Warren Buffett managed only 16% in his company Berkshire Hathaway in 2023.
And that's what he do for a living.
How hard it was to beat the market last year. So yes, politicians are now beating the world's best investors, but the annoying thing is just how quick they are to dismiss the idea that maybe this congressional stock trading is a little bit unfair. This is the famous clip of how Nancy Pelosi responded after being asked whether congressional stock trading should potentially be banned.
Insider just completed a 5-month investigation finding that 49 members of Congress and 182 senior congressional staffers have violated the Stock Act, the insider trading law. I'm wondering if you have any reaction to that, and secondly, should members of Congress and their spouses be banned from trading individual stocks while serving in Congress?
No, I don't know to the second one. We have a responsibility to report in the stock, on the stock, but I'm not familiar with that 5-month review, but if people aren't reporting, they should be. Because this is a free market and we are a free market economy. They should be able to participate in that.
We have a free market economy and people should be able to participate in that. In other words, we're getting filthy rich off this system. We certainly don't want to change the rules. And it's unfortunately true. They are getting filthy rich. Each year, stock trading oftentimes makes members of Congress multiple times their salaries. I mean, Nancy Pelosi's annual salary is $223,500, but even this one NVIDIA trade alone could have made her over double that in the space of just a few months.
She made like $3 million. There's that's why I can't freaking find, I wish I could find it, but she made $3 million recently off of a trade. Like, that's not no small chump change. I mean, maybe it is to some people, but these people are in Congress. They should be, you know, she makes $223,000. I mean, I'd be happy to make that. I mean, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe if I was in her position, I would be insider trading too. Who the fuck knows? But it seems like that's enough money. Like, why do these people have to be like this, bro? Like, you know, the regular folks lose as a result of this kind of stuff. I think it was an article I was reading, and I have no idea where I was reading that article. I think I'm getting tired, y'all. I've been on here for a while. My brain is tired. This one, the price fixing thing.
That's $500 a year of added cost. Times that by half of the people in my district, assuming who have a car, that's $175 million a year just to people in my district. Times 435 districts, that's $7.6 billion, billion with a B, that we're being gouged because of someone like this who's trying to price collude with, quite honestly, foreign companies on oil. And all I can say is if $30 million is the increase to have qualified staff just in one area to save taxpayers $7.6 billion, I think that's pretty good investment. I would say, though, I looked at what you're doing, you know, they can't be on the board for a while, what we're doing to this oil exec. But honestly, if you commit theft, the average sentence in Wisconsin, or in the United States, is 23 months. $7.6 billion is more than grand larceny theft, right? What else can we do to these oil companies that are ripping us off?
So price fixing and output reduction in a coordinated way can be criminal violations of the antitrust laws. As enforcers, we can't specifically speak to, you know, what we're referring and what we're not, but as a general matter, it's been a priority of mine to make sure we are referring more criminal candidates to the Justice Department, because we need to make sure that companies and executives aren't just treating fines as a cost of doing business, and that they take seriously the rule of law.
Well, I would recommend orange is the new black. If we need to make a point, it would be helpful because we're feeling it at the pumps, and clearly this kind of behavior we know isn't isolated. I just did a little napkin math. I'm a small business owner for 37 years, do a lot of napkin math, but just if it was 40 to 60 cents a gallon, we're paying more because of this collusion. For the average person filling their tank, that's $8 or $10 a week. That's $500 a year of added cost. Times that by half of the people in my district, assuming who have a car, that's $175 million a year just to people in my district. Times 435 districts, that's $7.6 billion.
So yeah, we want to blame Trump or Biden for the inflation when it's clearly these corporations price gouging the shit out of us left and right. And then people don't want to be upset at them. They want to point fingers in the wrong ass direction. Like, this type of thing should have you livid, okay? You have to get gas. You have to do it. There's no way around it. There's no way around it. You have to go to work. You have to go to school. You got to pick the kids up, take them to practice, whatever the hell it is. You have to buy the gas, and they know this. And then you only have a few corporations who are controlling that whole thing. They go behind closed doors and they make decisions on what the price is going to be. You think that the price fluctuates based on the how much they have, the supply and demand or whatever, or how much is being produced, or how much can go through a pipeline, or how much can be shipped or trucked or whatever. And then you come to find out, no, that's not what's driving the price. The price is driven by them just deciding on what the price is going to be because they, want to bring value to their investors. This should piss you off. It says, and these people should go to jail. Like what she was saying, we want to recommend criminal whatever. That's bullshit. Ain't nobody ever went to jail. Like, I can't think of a case where someone has gone to jail behind something like this. They do fine corporations all the time for this kind of thing. But like she said, the price of doing business, they just if they make $1 billion and they got to pay a $500,000 fine, they're like, okay, yeah, we'll pay $1 million, a couple $1 million. We'll pay that. It's fine. We just made $1 billion. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, it's not a deterrent. It doesn't keep them from doing what they're doing. They're still making a killing. So these people have to go to jail. That is the only way. Like, executives in these corporations that made the decisions, that signed off on this shit, need to go to jail. And that will be the only way to deter them from doing this in the future. Like, some of them will probably take the jail sentence. If you're going to make $1 billion and then you got to go sit in jail for like a month or a year or two, but you made $1 billion, you probably take that deal too. It says Representative Mark Pocan applauds FTC for revealing an oil price fixing scheme that cost Americans billions from 2021 to 2023. I just did a little napkin math. That's $175 million a year just for the people in my district that were being gouged. So, the COVID was the greatest transfer of wealth in history, and it continues to this day because they were talking about they had supply chain issues and they had to raise the prices, but the prices have never recovered. They actually just keep going up. And we wouldn't have swallowed that. We wouldn't have ate that if it wasn't for the pandemic. It gave the perfect cover for them. And now they can't claw it. Like they enjoying those huge profits, and they can't bring themselves to take the prices back to pre-COVID. And we've just moved on with life and just, made our changes in our grocery shopping habits or our traveling habits as a result of the price changes. And it's like, we can't do nothing about it. And then we just get mad at the politicians. It's these damn corporations, bro. They're the ones. The politicians are in the pocket of these corporations. The guy that's getting paid $225,000 a year, you think that's the guy who is behind all of this? The guy that's making billions of dollars per quarter, he could buy that politician. $225,000 is nothing. Perfect Union, it says an oil price fixing scheme that cost Americans billions was revealed by the FTC. Now, who is held accountable? Too often, the fines we hand out to companies are seen as just the cost of doing business. Comment says fines need to be exponentially increased for violations of the public like this. Fine them treble amount damages of the $7.6 billion they stole. I think he was trying to say triple. I don't think the fines will work at all. And then where's the money going to go? Like, is it going to go back to the people? Another comment that says, steal $20 from a gas station and get put in handcuffs or killed. Steal $500 million from citizens and get promoted to board of the directors. I'm telling you, man. Another one says, corporate executives and board members need to go to jail if crimes are committed. Otherwise, nothing changes. I'm telling you, it's a crime. So if you're committing a crime, the rest of us, if we commit a crime, we go to jail. How come these people get to pay their way out of going to jail? Steal a candy from the corner store and you get shot. Another comment says, if it was literally found, why aren't people in jail? Why aren't these companies being fined into the ground? We have a word for that. It's called embezzlement. You're just doing it from the American people. Another comment says, corporations wanted personhood. Start treating them like people. Send all of their upper management to jail for a couple of years. Things will change. I'm telling you. It says, so what? They pay a massive fine to U.S. and then we give it right back to them via subsidies and tax breaks. Cool, great system. Yeah, this thing right here, that should piss y'all off, man.
Israel wants to carry out war.
I think I'm gonna cover all of that stuff tomorrow. We'll get into the emotional stuff tomorrow. We got the Haiti situation, the Israel situation, the Ukraine situation. What is this? Oh, this is on the same topic. This might have been what I was looking for. Hold on.
Congress allowed to trade stocks. Nancy Pelosi made $7 million in 1 week off the stock market. That's $1 million a day. Senator Tommy Tuberville bought stock in a little-known company called Humacyte. Its value has risen 86% since he bought it just a few weeks ago. Humacyte is a small biotech company that makes implantable human tissue. They have been testing their technology in Ukraine, treating combat injuries. Tuberville sits on the Senate Armed Services Committee. Members of Congress shouldn't be getting rich on the job. We need to stop congressional stock trading now. Why the hell is Congress allowed to trade stocks? Nancy Pelosi made $7 million in 1 week off the stock market. That's $1 million a day. Senator Tommy Tuberville bought stock in a little-known company called Humacyte. Its value has risen 86% since he bought it just a few weeks ago.
It says Congress is making historic bipartisan progress in their personal investment portfolios. But this isn't just about individual corrupt politicians. It's about a broken system that allows them to prioritize personal gain over public service. Enough is enough. It's time for change. Only we have the power to pass laws like the Ethics Act, which will prevent this kind of corruption and restore integrity to our democracy. Tell your legislator to ban congressional stock trading. Yeah, but this is the kind of stuff that nobody's paying attention to. They're looking at Diddy slinging old girl around, or they're worried about Kendrick Lamar and Drake rap beef, or I don't know, fucking Taylor Swift and whatever she's doing this week. It says, forget hot girl summer, it's gerrymandering summer. We're fed up with politicians using the gerrymandering font to draw us out of elections. Did you know that 84% of congressional districts are uncompetitive because of gerrymandering? Yeah, that's how they already know who's going to win certain districts, or whichever party. They may not know exactly which politician is going to win, but they know which party is going to win. Crazy. I'm going to get out of here, y'all. Nobody jumps in here and chop it up with me. I'm going to get out. Let's do this one right here right quick. It says, it shouldn't be lost on anyone that the Biden administration's biggest successes have been in areas where they've been most welcoming of progressive ideas. Their biggest failures where they've been the least. It was a dude made a joke. He said, what did he say? The top contenders for the president is one guy who said part of his brain got ate by a worm. A guy who's like on trial for like multiple freaking, crimes. Yeah. And another guy who's has trouble, finishing his sentences. Yeah, how did we get here, bro? This is the illusion of choice, man. If nobody, this is our last chance to chop it up with me, because I'm about to get up out of here. And tomorrow we'll get into the emotional stuff.
Executive Director for the America First Legal, correct?
That's correct.
All right. And America First Legal is a member of Project 2025, which is dedicated to creating the playbook for the next conservative administration and what it calls the Project Pillars, correct?
We are proud contributors to Project 2025.
Okay. And are you familiar with Project 2025's mandate for leadership?
In fact, I am.
Okay. And in fact, you wrote some of the sections of this mandate related to the DOJ, correct?
Sure did.
And the mandate outlines policy priorities for the next conservative president. Is that correct?
It does.
You've done a great job. I just want to let you know. All right, so let's walk through some of the provisions of the mandate. It calls for eliminating the Department of Education, eliminating the Department of Commerce, deploying the military for the use of domestic law enforcement against protesters under the Insurrection Act of 1807. It also has the repealing of Schedule F status for thousands of federal employees to allow a president to replace career civil servants with unqualified partisan loyalists. That's probably my favorite of it. It also prohibits the FBI from combating the spread of misinformation and disinformation, like Russia and China, who are actively trying to interfere with American elections. I don't know why or how anybody can support Project 2025. And I know that there was allegedly a joke about dictators and whether or not that's funny, but in the United States of America, dictatorships are never funny. And Project 2025 is giving the playbook for authoritarianism as well as the next dictator to come in. And I know that you are doing your jobs here by making sure that hopefully some juror turns on and finds some viral moment of you spewing more of the nonsense as it relates to the president. But as, let's see, you're the executive director for the American First Legal, correct?
Getting rid of the Department of Education, bringing in the military to go against regular citizens, like that's some crazy talk.
We are proud contributors to Project 2025.
Okay. And are you familiar with Project 2025's mandate for leadership?
In fact, I am.
Okay. And in fact, you wrote some of the sections of this mandate related to the DOJ, correct?
Sure did.
And the mandate outlines policy priorities for the next conservative president. Is that correct?
It does.
You've done a great job. I just want to let you know. All right, so let's walk through some of the provisions of the mandate. It calls for eliminating the Department of Education, eliminating the Department of Commerce, deploying the military for the use of domestic law enforcement against protesters under the Insurrection Act of 1807. It also has the repealing of Schedule F status for thousands of federal employees to allow a president to replace career civil servants with unqualified partisan loyalists. That's probably my favorite of it. It also prohibits the FBI from combating the spread of misinformation and disinformation.
They don't even want them to stop misinformation, disinformation. Like, that shows what they want. You know, they want to lie to you with impunity. Anywho, let me get out of here, y'all. Peace and love. Thank y'all for joining. Thank y'all for listening. We'll be back tomorrow.